Good morning, Gardenia! Good morning, Freedom Family. Good morning, America. Good morning, world. We are back, and it feels good to be back in the Freedom Factory studios here in Gardenia. I'm looking out the windows, and it is snowing as I speak. It is just winter wonderland. I love living in these Arizona mountains, and man, it is good to be back. It has been 3 long weeks away from enjoying the sound of my own voice for extended periods of time here on Adam versus the Man. But we do enjoy covering the news, bringing you what's going on. And man, I don't know if you noticed, but a lot's happened in the last 3 weeks. We're going to get you all caught up on that today. We got a huge packed show. We got Cash Jackson himself joining us, I believe, from probably an undisclosed location in Illinois. We've got producer CJ, executive producer CJ Abernathy back in the saddle. We got Comment Jim Freedom. We got Mercedes Damertowski from Nebraska coming with us today. We got callers lined up. We got a ton of news. We have an unboxing or an enveloping from our producer CJ Abernathy. We're gonna get, where's the label? We're gonna, oh, I don't, do you want is your address public? Mine is. I don't know. Yeah, if you want to send something to me, like, and be cool like CJ, there it is. P.O. Box 97. Am I doing the wrong hand there? Oh, yeah. P.O. Box 973, Ashfork, Arizona 86320. So anyway, we are going to unveil this later on in the show. Got a quick update for a couple things that I've been up to. You know, I have been traveling. We had a wonderful honeymoon, my wife and I, in Hawaii on Maui. And I saw this story today from NBC News. They just wanted to, someone send this in the Producers Club. And by the way, before we get to this, quick shout out to the Producers Club. If you have been in that conversation over the last 3 weeks, it's been a lot of fun. And I've been enjoying, like, even when I don't get to do this every day, we have this amazing conversation going in the Producers Club. And the way you join the Producers Club, well, you can win membership. You know, most shows we say, best caller to the show gets wins a free membership to the Producers Club, or sometimes we have trivia contests and silly things like that. But today, and today only, and tomorrow, and as long as we're doing this, you can join the Producers Club for just $10 a month at patreon.com/Adam versus the Man. You find it through adamversustheman.com, where you can always see us live. You can find whatever we're doing. And, you know, I know this is part of the struggle of independent media, jumping from platform to platform. We are back on YouTube today, I believe, on our old channel. And, you know, who knows? But see, I am just so grateful to have this incredible team backing us up. And so I don't have to worry about it. I can focus on content, focus on bringing you a good show every day. But the Producers Club is a huge part of what makes that possible. So on Patreon, $10 a month gets you membership in the Producers Club. And somebody sent me this story. NBCnews.com, former TSA agent convicted for tricking woman into showing breasts at LAX. The woman said he told her he had to look inside her bra to ensure she wasn't hiding anything, and had her hold her pants away from her waist for a check. I was just like, really? LAX. Yeah, now we flew out of LAX. And, you know, I stand by my policy of wearing a mask as little as possible. And you know, got to give a shout out to Howard Blitz, former chair of the Arizona Libertarian Party, and Emily Goldberg, incoming chair as of Saturday of the Arizona Libertarian Party. We got to go to their convention in Phoenix. And, you know, when I travel like anywhere further than like this immediate awesome area in northern Arizona, you know, I'll put on a bandana, you know, wear it just like a bandana, you know, like yeah. But I like around my neck, and like I wore bandanas like that before. It was cool for COVID, just homesteading, dust protection, sawdust, things like that. And I went, so I you know, and I find that I actually get away with not having it on my face more when I have that bandana. It's like, look, I know you guys are going stupid, crazy, paranoid, ridiculous. Karens have taken over the country, the world even. But if I say, look, I acknowledge your fear. If you want me to wear it when I'm within 6 feet of you, or to make your job easier, I'll you know, put it on, and you know, then it'll fall off. But I've come to say, I'm not supposed to wear a mask. I've got a medical exemption. But if you want me to wear it around you, I'll wear it around you. And, that's actually allowed me to not wear a mask pretty much everywhere. And when we flew, I thought, oh my God, it's airports, government buildings. We're going to be harassed all the time. Flying out to Hawaii through LAX, as I was getting a pat down, because I opt out, the guy patted me down, and we were like, my wife was there, and everybody's joking about how hot she is, and of course we got to start the show today with a story about tits, right? And my wife being made fun of by TSA for being super hot going through the checkpoint. But halfway through my pat down, the guy had already done the felt resistance. Oh, that's your nuts, huh? Okay. And he goes, hey, you're not wearing a mask. No, I'm wearing a mask. And he says, oh, can you put it on? So I put it on. Like I said, well, just for you, sir, since you asked so nicely, I'll put it on. I put it on, and for like the last 10 seconds of the pat down, took it off right after. He goes and swabs his hands. He said, okay, you're good to go. And I'm still not wearing the mask. And he said, okay, so I didn't wear it at all through the airport. And then my wife went and bought some bottles of wine for the trip, which is actually new COVID regulations. You can't drink on airplanes except in first class. I don't know if that's universal policy or if that was just American, but there's some weird stuff going on, all sorts of quirks in the airline industry around COVID, obviously. So the only other time I wore it is as we were boarding the plane. I put it on just because I know it's a sensitive point for the staff, for airline employees. And so I put it on to get on the flight. And then once I got to my seat, I had my bottle of wine on my lap the whole time. No, I'm drinking. No, I'm sorry, I can't wear a mask. I'm drinking. And they pretty much left me alone. But I actually asked one of the flight attendants on the way back, who was giving me a hard time for sitting and not wearing a mask in my seat. And they don't recognize medical exemptions on airplanes. They just don't recognize it. They don't. And I had other experiences with this, not wearing a mask and going to the stuff like, do you know about this? Did your boss tell you? Like, and they said, no, everybody has to wear a mask. Well, that's not the law. In fact, that's an illegal attempt to enforce something that's not the law. So is it illegal? Petty harassment, whatever. And, I don't feel bad for me. Like, what's my medical exemption? I get anxiety when I wear a mask because I know that this whole thing is bullshit. That it's all an overreaction that has been cultivated to rip you off. The biggest segment in the show today is going to be the financial stuff. We follow the money. So when I put on a mask, I go, oh my God, I'm back in the matrix. Oh my God. So yeah, I get that anxiety of submitting to bullshit authority. And therefore I have an excuse, a legitimate medical exemption for not wearing a mask, right? I've been diagnosed with PTSD after all. And I feel really sorry, though, for the people who do have, like, there are people with breathing disorders or severe asthma or really disabling anxiety disorders. And when you go out in the world and you try to say I'm exempt. By the way, I ordered a little button from Amazon. Maybe I'll wear it on the show when I get it. It says medically exempt. It's got a picture of a mask on it. So maybe I'll start wearing that. Maybe you just point to the button and people go, oh, okay. Now, that'd be a lot easier, I suppose. But then through the airport into Hawaii, didn't wear it. I would wear a mask like that getting into the Ubers and then just take it off and nobody really cared. But the hotel was different. And the Karen thing, I had a fun story with my wife there as we were at the bar restaurant out by the beach, and tables and pool lounge chairs and cabanas, and people are sitting around, walking around, no masks everywhere, and we're socially distanced. We're 6 feet away from other people in line. We're hitting her little her little, it's not a vape pen, but a nicotine pen. And staff guy comes up to us, and I ask, well, I'm sorry, sir, what's your policy on medical exemptions? And he just gets like really frustrated and sort of yells back at me. And I go, hold on, I just asked a question. He said, well, you can ask security if you don't want to put your mask on. I'm like, whoa. So we go up to the bar, we get our drinks, and I'm holding my drink. And then a woman comes up with a mask on, holding a 1.5-year-old kid like on her hip, no mask, and starts chewing us out for not wearing a mask. And I go, well, I'm drinking. And she goes, yeah, but you were when you were not right. Okay. And me and Samantha, my wife, were just standing there like, oh, okay. And she's like almost in our faces. And I assume like she's the one who told staff like, hey, go after these people. And so I'm just sipping my drink, and she goes off again. I go, okay. And she goes, no, it's not okay. It goes off again. I go, okay, I hear you. And she just walked away. And that was the most in your face incident we had the whole time. On the way back, got a little grief from, like I said, the airline, the flight attendants. But then no problem walking through LAX. Although it's weird when you're the only one not wearing a mask. Someone, I think someone made this point at the Arizona convention. We were talking about the thing, about not wearing masks, and they said, I've always been rebellious. I've always been the one not wearing a mask. I've always been the one, and it's not wearing a mask, but that there are other things that we do as the woke people, so to speak, that differentiate us from the herd, right? Avoiding taxation, being stolen from by government, driving without a license or a license plate or registration, building without a permit, doing whatever drugs you want, in a healthy, conscientious way. It's sort of like we've always been that 1% of the population who says, no, I'm just gonna step away from the herd on this one. Yeah, don't need the comfort of the herd. I can stand out on my own. And it's just, now you see it. And walking through an airport, well, airports are different because people are sitting down, not wearing masks. But like, you go to a place like Walmart, because everybody's standing up, nobody is eating or drinking unless you're at the McDonald's, at the Walmart, and when you're the only one. I wonder, facial recognition software out there, security cameras everywhere. Maybe this is how they identify the true freedom fighters. We are the ones who will let you see our smile, and I will smile all the way to the gulag if that's what it takes to maintain emotional freedom, sovereignty of the mind. And I hope that now more than ever, we see that there's an opportunity. And in the news we're going to cover today, we got a big block on the financial stories, follow the money, key bono, who benefits. We got a COVID block. We got updates on, and none of this is intended to be taken as medical advice, but holy crap, don't get the vaccine. Please don't get the vaccine. Avoid getting I said it. I'll wait. We are going to make sure the virus stays contained here on Adam versus the Man with the help of CJ. But let's refresh my screen here. Let's get Comment Jim Freedom up here, coming to you from Phoenix today. Mr. Freedom, Comment Jim, how you doing?
What up? What's going on?
How's the weather? How's the weather in Phoenix this morning?
It's a little chilly. It's been chilly lately. It's Phoenix, it gets back up to the 70s in the daytime, but it's been chilly at night. I've been steady in a jacket and a beanie. Let's put it that way.
Well, here in the mountains, man, it is beautiful. I've got a couple pictures posted, but I even more that I haven't had a chance to post because I walked around this morning and like I'm just looking outside, looking at the tire wall. There's legit like a 6-inch sitting heap of snow on everything right now. And it's cool. We don't get that. I mean, this is like the once a year thing, but it seems like today it's really concentrated. I love it. And just quickly, another headline. I don't cover a lot of weather stuff unless it's in my face like this, or there's major human suffering involved. But quick headline from ABC7.com. Winter storm brings rare snowfall to Malibu. That's right, Malibu, California. In one of the ultimate displays of the range of Southern California weather, the Malibu community saw rare snowfall on Saturday, just a week after seeing temperatures in the 80s. Yeah, don't blame global warming or climate change. Cool little video there. Yeah, you can see even in Malibu, California, They're pretending to be able to use sleds. Isn't that cute? Yeah. All right. So, Jim, how have your 3 weeks been?
That's crazy. I've been excited. Let's say this. I've been excited to get back and hear your guys' take on everything that's been happening. I've been like, the whole time I've been gone, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we're not doing a show right now because of this. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this needs to be on the show. It's hilarious. We do have some super chats I got to get through right away. We got a lot of chats
please.
building up,
And-
so we need to get to those.
Let me just say, Jim, for everybody in the audience, we do have a ton of headlines to cover. We do have Cash Jackson coming on. Still got an epic unveiling here. But questions for people catching up. Like, we are going to cover like the big story, and again, money first. We're going to talk some politics. We're going to look at what happened on January 6th with Cash, and CJ, who was there. I don't know how much he's going to weigh in, but they're in a delicate legal situation. We were planning on coming back a week ago. But I'll just say that CJ had some logistical challenges involved with getting back from DC, and I don't know. We're gonna see what Cash and CJ are willing to share later today about that. But we are going to be covering it as things roll out, and there are still some sensitive legal situations around this, which means we get to tease ahead reveals like when CJ's footage going to be public. Who knows? It could be a while, could be soon. Yeah, all right, there's CJ, carefully keeping his mouth shut, mute on screen. CJ, you want to weigh in on any of that before we get to comments?
We will get Cash on, Adam. Good to see you guys back, everybody. Glad to be back on YouTube. I mean, it's not that I'm not willing to talk about what happened. It's just that when we were discussing it originally, the FBI was still making phone calls to my phone. And, so I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't be going live yet just at the moment. And after we got them on the record saying that we did nothing wrong while we were there, I feel like I can talk about it now more openly. But I'd rather have Cash talk about it because he's the one that drugged my ass all the way to the front. So, but we do have videos that nobody, and I mean nobody, has seen unless you've been tuning in to what Cash has been sharing. So this will be a first for the Adam versus the Man platform, getting eyes on this footage. And, we look forward to seeing what you guys have to say in the comments. And, just good to be back. Ultimately, when you're that close to the front of the shit, you start to appreciate days like this, where you're just, just hanging out, just producing a show. All right, FBI, like, look, I just want to produce Adam's show. And I like what I do with Cash. I just, but at the end of the day, we do have a right to freedom of the press. This show, Cash's show, the network that he's building, emphasizes the right to freedom of the press, freedom of speech. So it only makes sense to have him do, well, essentially which would be his first interview since the January 6th event. So I hope you'll give him all the hard-hitting questions. I'm not going to let him pull no punches, but he has access to all the footage, and we'll be able to produce whatever he wants on demand about the 6th. And so whatever he's willing to share, as the founder of the Veteran Liberty Network, that's his right. And I'm just here as the producer. So, but yeah, good to be back. Thank you all for tuning in on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube, the super chats are open. So Jim, if you want to get to comments, away we go.
Well, hold on. One last thing before we get to comments. CJ, are you telling me that a Navy guy led a Marine to the front lines?
Yes, I am. It was fucking crazy. Yes.
All right, we'll come back. All right, hold your spots. We'll come back to that when we get into the insurrection coverage later today. Jim, what do we have for super chats?
Interesting. All right, we got Hiram Bifidum, $2. Thank God you're back, Adam. You were missed by many. Thank you.
Yes,
Hiram.
and
we always appreciate you.
Yeah, and just so people, I hate to turn down money because I want to appreciate people having fun, throwing in a buck with the super chats, paying Google for that service. I get it, it's fun, and you will get Jim's attention. But if you really want to support the show more directly with less of a commission to a third party, please become a monthly donor, $10, getting the Producers Club with Patreon. Sorry, back to comments, Jim.
No problem. Yeah. Next one is from Daniel Irving, $20.
Wow, Dan, $20. Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Adam and crew, please check out PocketNet. It's a very promising, user-moderated, fully decentralized social media site. I'm so confident in this site's future that I'm investing heavily in its crypto coin.
All right, Daniel, please call in tomorrow. I hope you'll mark your calendar for tomorrow's show. I put together a block for today. I knew we weren't going to get to it, catching up on social media censorship, talking about Parler, Telegram, mesh nets, laser internet. I mean, we are on the verge of some amazing stuff, and it's worth following and seeing the changes. And most stuff that comes, I'm very skeptical of it. Like, I was skeptical of Parler and Gab, and you got to, I don't know. But there's a lot of opportunities out there now that we see the mainstream. I saw a new term, by the way, new acronym, MSSM, as in mainstream social media. There's some new destabilizing within mainstream social media. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but I'm on Telegram and Signal and WhatsApp and a bunch of other messaging apps. Various degrees of security. Of course, if it's on your phone, it's not, you can't be sure that it's safe. No way. Unless you have, again, end-to-end air-gapped offline encryption, you cannot be sure because you don't know what malware or backdoor spyware is installed on your phone, what they can see. But on Telegram and Signal, over the last few weeks, my phone is set up to ping me every time someone in my phone contacts joins Signal or Telegram. And I've been getting like 5 to 10 a day. On my cell phone, I have a few thousand contacts. I'm pretty well networked, but I get around. So to see that there's this, even among just people whose phone numbers I have, there's been this huge shift of adopting alternative, more secure messaging platforms. That's pretty cool. And the fate of Telegram is going to be very important in all of this. So tomorrow, big block on social media and censorship.
Nice. That'll be cool. Look forward to that. When you were talking about your flight and the masks, I meant to bring up that I was curious myself, so I'm glad you mentioned how it went down with the masks in the airport. I'm surprised. So you're saying that with it down, nobody said nothing to you walking through the main halls of the
Yeah. And in Hawaii, where they're way stricter, I walked through TSA the whole time. Well, okay, so they were actually in Hawaii, there was no enforcement. No one specifically said you have to. And the only time I wore it in Hawaii on my way out was boarding. I went through TSA and they said nothing. Got the pat down. Dude said nothing. And Then as I'm walking through the airport, there was one chubby woman in camo who looked like National Guard who was like, "Oh, put your mask on, sir." We went through, and there was one staff guy who was like airport security, walked past me, and I'm not a soft tart. I was wearing a tank top, so like I'm looking and tank top, rugged pants, and cargo boots, and I'm not the guy you want to bug, So this guy, like, "You need to put your mask on, sir," walked past me and like didn't even look back, and I was like, there were a few of those. And I got, but no, like I went through the airport all the way from curbside to the gate, didn't put the mask on once. Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Good job. I was curious about that. JB Hyde said he flew on a plane out of Vegas and a lady threw up on me and the flight attendant had the nerve to ask me to clean it up.
Whoa. Well, hey, you're infected already. Don't let me get infected. You clean up the puke you pee on in second class seating. Because they don't call it second class, but if you have first class, you got a second class.
Outstanding. Our friend Peter Yapel says, my Telegram base, for lack of better terms, has grown exponentially. Yeah, I've been seeing the same thing even on my contacts. They have access to my contacts. So like, I don't have as many as you, but literally at least one a day, I'm seeing so-and-so joined, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even remember they were in my contacts. Like, what is that?
Yeah. I've been saying, hey, haven't heard from you in a while. Right. Welcome to the Cool Kids table, right? And speaking of which, the Producers Club, it's a Telegram group first and foremost, and it is a great news chat. It's where we get it most. I mean, I look at Drudge, I look at social media, but the Producers Club is where we get most of the headlines we cover on the show. And I'm thinking we need to put together an Adam versus the Man Telegram broadcast channel. That's just pure broadcast. People can comment on posts, but as sort of a backup distribution channel. And maybe we'll consider this tomorrow, but we got to look at this Telegram story. It's Congress looking at Telegram, going, someone's using it for violence. And so the argument is so frustratingly, obviously bullshit, because they're like, oh, well, people are using this tool to do bad things, so we have to shut it down. And it's like, people use the Bitcoin for buying drugs on the internet. Well, people use the US dollar for everything else that's criminal. We don't go, oh, we got to stop the dollar. You don't say, oh, well, people are using cell phones to plan riots. Oh, we got to ban cell phones. No, it's a way of saying we're gonna shepherd people on the internet into places where we can control the message.
For sure. Hey, we got Blind Justice watching with us today, saying howdy, checking in.
All right.
How you doing?
I had an awesome interview this weekend with Will Turbit, and Will mentioned First Amendment audits, Second Amendment audits, and he was trying to kiss my butt, saying, Adam, you were like one of the prototypes, one of the early, and I said, yeah, it's awesome that the stuff that I was, and I'm not special. I mean, there were dozens of people kind of doing what I was doing when I was way more active in DC with confronting police, and like Massachusetts when they banned cursing, going and cursing at cops, and they didn't arrest anybody, but could have. And it was sort of, after I stepped back from that kind of activism, the term First Amendment audit surfaced, and I was like, yes, they put a name on it. I love it. And Blind Justice, Mike Nelson, has done an awesome job. And I mentioned him on the show, and Will was like, yeah, I love that guy. I love his stuff. So, yeah, Blind Justice, it's great. I mean, I love seeing people succeed who I have inspired to stand up and steal my audience.
Yeah, definitely. That's funny. I love that every time we see him, he's wearing a freedom hat. Like, he's faithful with that thing. I love it.
Yes, Blind Justice comments, is that Will from Demand the Truth? Thank you for reminding me of his show name. Yes, I believe it's Demand the Truth is Will Turbit.
He also does some a lot on Auditing America for his friend's channel. But yeah. Ken Scott says, I have footage he has and some he does not. I think he was talking about CJ's footage from the insurrection. Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. I don't know. What do we call it? Like, we should have a name for it. I don't want to call it that. Because it's got to be exactly, CJ. It would have to be in quotes because it wasn't an insurrection. And we're going to really get to this. And CJ, your insight has been so helpful in me figuring this out, that it was part of the duopoly drama show, and it was a false flag in the sense that it was created to, it was staged drama fundamentally. And the one thing that was obvious was they let it happen on purpose. If they wanted to have a wall of dudes in riot gear with big plastic shields and helmets and stop the whole thing, they could have right there. They did not. They let it happen on purpose.
I just think it should be called the false flag insurrection. That's it, personally, because they want to call it the insurrection. Give it to them. False flag. Put the adjective in front of it, please.
Yeah, no. So the false flag thing, that false flag insurrection. I might say staged insurrection to be a little less.
No, there was an actual false flag that started it. That's why we are calling it a false flag insurrection.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I like how at first it was people that were, just Trump supporters. But I'm going to tell you right now, having been there, it wasn't all Trump supporters. There were libertarians, there were bug boys, there were Antifa, there were the communists, it was every walk of life. So, but yeah, I would appreciate it if, at least for my 2 cents, it's false flag insurrection, and we at least describe it for what it was. And we got the video proof to show it. So we'll just tune in. Hey, if you're watching this, share this. If you want to see the footage and you want other people to see what we're talking about, please do share this on whatever platforms you do have access to. We do know a lot of people only have access. But if you do have a Telegram group, drop our links in there. Drop them over on your MeWe's and your what other ones? The Signals. Drop them on all those chats and give Cash the opportunity today with Adam to dissect it and and to really talk about it in an open and honest manner. This Cash, like I said, hasn't had the opportunity to be interviewed about it yet. So I don't know exactly what way he's going to go with it, but I do know we're going to agree that it's a false flag. And so that's spoiler alert.
Yeah. The false flag insurrection of January 6th. Yes,
they're comparing it to 9/11. They want a new 9/11 style commission to weed out what happened that day. Well, the same way that they videotaped the inauguration, those same camera angles, I guarantee you, we had footage from the front lines on our cell phones like this. No, they had 8K cameras that can zoom in on all of us. They were watching every inch of the Capitol building, and to think otherwise.
Right, CJ, hold it. I'm going to bring you back on when we get Cash here. Brad Brown in the Producers Club calls it the Phobellion. Maybe a little more of a flowery term, not quite as precise as false flag insurrection. All right, so Jim, any other critical comments, or you want to do the rest of our promos?
Mark Jason Walker asks, anyone see the clip of the politician mistakenly calling it an erection?
The insurrection?
I haven't seen it, unfortunately. Thunder points out, and I think I saw this one. There's a video with the shaman guy with a police escort and a professional photographer taking his posed shots. That's
I don't think. Yeah. So what I like, and we're gonna get to the details and figure out the greater significance with Cash and CJ in about 30 minutes here. But I think you don't need to like pick it apart to go, this was a false flag. You just go, this is the Capitol building of the United fucking States of America. They can't secure it against, even a few hundred. I mean, even if it was a few thousand, but like actually like trying to storm the Capitol. And I don't know. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was under a few hundred that were actually like, pushing to go in, and probably less than that even. But no. Anyway, all right.
Make no
Any
mistake.
other comments or promos?
There will be a trial, and when that trial ends, senators will have to decide if they believe Donald John Trump incited the erection against the United States.
Oh my God!
Erection.
It's Chuck Schumer going senile. He couldn't even say Donald J. Trump. Wow. All right, Jim. Let's wrap up the segment. Comments and promos, and then the unveiling here.
Well, we're gonna get to the promos now. First, we've already talked about the Patreon. So after that, visit the AdamVersusTheMan.com store that CJ has set up. You can now get the Freedom Boxers and Panties Mercedes already displayed in the backstage. The pair of the boxers that she had come in. So they look pretty cool. They got the big print on the back. Yeah, there you go. So you can show people freedom from your ass. Yep, that's pretty cool. So check that store out.
Let's. All right. Well, all right. Go ahead. Finish the promos. Then we'll do the unveiling.
Well, yeah, we got the Cigar Federation. That's where you can go and put in promo code Adam10, all caps, ADAM10, gets you 10% off of any of your cigar smoking habits. It's a wonderful thing. Try it out. Get the JSK nugs. That's what Adam likes. And then after that, lastly, makethemdebate.com. That's where we are trying to get Adam. Oh,
wrong.
CJ. Wrong. Never mind. I'm out of the loop. I don't know what happened. Update.
We are done with Make Them Debate. It had its run in the sun. It was good while it lasted, gents.
Yeah, open to a comeback, but we're not. Yeah.
Okay. So rewind 10 seconds and screw MakeThemDebate.com. Don't ever visit them. I'm just kidding.
No, they're great. No momentum for us right now.
Yeah, right.
Still, hey,
okay.
But side note there, still, I mean, I love debating. I love, and people want to call into the show and debate, hate call, and troll me. Maybe towards the end of we got too many headlines today. Well, maybe we'll get to that. We'll take a couple calls after we get Cash on. But I love doing debates, and the best ones usually come from fans going, "Ooh, I want to see this matchup," and they tweet at us and go, "Hey, let's make it happen." Well, send me an email. Send an email to our booker, my press secretary and guest booker, the incredible Marcus Pulis in Indiana. Marcus, Marcus at thefreedomline.com, or tweet at me, or however you want, Adam at thefreedomline.com. and we'll make some debates happen.
Sweet. Now let's get that thing enveloped.
All right. Wait, no, one more promo at least. The Garden of Freedom, at the Garden of Freedom on Instagram. Check it out. A lot of cool stuff there, and snow pictures. Way more snow pictures coming. All right, but here we go. Oh, all right, here we go. Ready? Big unveiling. There's CJ doing his job. Here we go. The big unveiling from CJ from the store. All right. We got. Oh, well, there's something for Jim here too. This is like the pre-unveil. There's two things in here, Jim. Now I got to get you back up here for your laptop sleeve. That says.
Oh
Jim,
yeah, that's what I'm talking
look at that,
about.
look at that. But
Dude, that
that's
looks
not
nice.
even the big unveil. But wait, there's more. This is the big one. Oh, look, it comes in a Ziploc pack. Oh my gosh, so professional. Oh shit. Look at this. Here it is. I got to back up. Oh, this is Jim's. All right, look at this.
Oh,
This is
that's
the
mine
Freedom,
too. Nice.
Freedom 420. Comment Jim, number 420. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. Jim, I hope you like. Now you got to come back to Gardenia soon.
That's sick.
We got to get Jim back. See, this is CJ bribing Jim to come back and get in studio because you're so much better in the studio. We got to finish building it out too. But here, ladies and gentlemen, Freedom 5. It's my lucky number.
Nice.
Hokesh. Look at that. Look at that. And you can have one of these now. Now I'm like, I gotta do a tour where I get to wear this on stage every night. You know. All right. Thank you so much, CJ, for making this happen. And everybody who supports the show by chipping in the Producers Club, making this possible. Everybody who buys merch on our website. Everybody who has supported us over the years through all of the challenges and censorship and bullshit and hurdles we've overcome to stay on the air. Craig, sweet merch. Thank you very much. Again, yes, at the AdamVersusTheMan.com, you can get your very own Freedom jersey. Match us when we go on the road. And like this is quality stuff. These are like stitched on letters and numbers. Everything here is beautiful. Like this is like legit baseball jersey quality. This is not just printed on custom. This is amazing stuff. CJ's got his. So I think does Mercedes have hers too?
Everyone on the core team has gotten one, Adam.
Yes, and finally Jim and I are caught up and as cool as everybody else. Thank you, CJ.
Right.
All right. If there's nothing else, shall we cover some hardcore news? We got 20 minutes before Cash joins us. Let's at least get to our economics block. This is very important. When I look at what's going on in the world, the biggest underreported stories are always about where's the money going, who's benefiting, who's profiting, who's getting rich, who's losing out. And under COVID, excuse me, the virus which shall not be named, we have seen the most incredible wealth disparity growth ever in human history. Now, the Economic Times .indiatimes.com English edition has this headline: World stands to witness greatest rise in inequality since record keeping began. Yeah. Wow. I couldn't put it in better terms myself, but that's what we're seeing right now. We've covered these stories because over this past year, we've seen it happening. And again, you have to stop and remind yourself, what's the purpose of government? Really, not what does it tell you its purpose is, not what they used to teach you in civics classes. What's the actual purpose of government? Judge it by its actions, not by its words, right? Actions speak louder than words. The purpose of government is to keep the super rich getting richer at the expense of the rest of us. And that's why government is driving this virus, this pandemic, if you will, so hard, is that they know they can serve their purpose more effectively when they can bully people into submission, when they can scare people, when they can suppress economic activity in a controlled way. So this story is broken up into 5 little points here. The first one, extreme inequality, according to a report by Thomson Reuters Foundation, billionaires, including Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Tesla founder Elon Musk, have seen their wealth soar during the COVID-19 pandemic, while the world's poor face years of hardship. Yeah. Crazy. The inequality virus, part 2. Nations have a shrinking window of opportunity to build a fair green recovery, according to the inequality virus report published as global leaders Tune into the World Economic Forum's virtual Davos dialogue meeting. Quote, we stand to witness the greatest rise in inequality since records began. This is Gabrielle Boucher, Executive Director of Oxfam International. And they're calling for wealth taxes. You know, there's a problem with this wealth taxes. Now, most people who have, over $1 billion have gotten, I don't know if I can say most, but at least a significant chunk of that is, if not ill-gotten gains, at least passive profiteering from government, where they have benefited from this system. And a lot of it is deliberately ill-gotten gains. And if you say, oh, we should tax the rich, you're saying we should allow them to rip us off through this system and then let the system take back a little bit to try to make things fair. Oh, bullshit. Don't demand that we tax the rich. Demand real justice, that all of the wealth that has been gained illegitimately be taken back and returned to its rightful owners. And that's not always easy or possible or simple, but one of the best ways we can do this, and yeah, this is why I'm a big fan of crypto and gold and silver, Bitcoin, alternative currencies. That's how we erase this record. As they're concentrating so much wealth in the hands of the few, what they're really saying is, look, our system thinks these people should have all this credit to claim value, to spend money on things, to buy stuff, to live rich, right? So point 3, an economic storm. Rigged economies are funneling wealth to a rich elite who are riding out the pandemic in luxury, while those on the front line of the pandemic, shop assistants, healthcare workers, and market vendors, are struggling to pay the bills. Yeah, COVID-19 has unleashed an economic storm that hit the poor and vulnerable hardest, with women and marginalized workers facing the worst job losses, and the World Bank warned more than 100 million people could be pushed into extreme poverty. Now, I don't want to blame everybody who's fallen for this, because I fell for it briefly too for a couple of weeks in February, March last year. I was, but even then I knew that it was a hoax. I called it a hoax last February 1st. And it's not that the virus isn't real, but that the hysteria, the hype, the shutdowns around it, that's a hoax. It's a scam. It's a racket. What are they doing? Making the rich richer and the poor poorer. And yeah, there should be some sympathy for women in this, especially in terms of job losses. Women face enough challenges as it is in the workplace. Now you're going to suddenly restrict the hiring market because all of these jobs just don't exist. And a lot of them were jobs, servers, bartenders, customer service jobs being reduced, shut down, hours curtailed, things like that. Women are going to be disproportionately affected. And it's sad to see that there is a gender dynamic to this, about government in general too. It's a handful of men manipulating society, taking advantage of people they can scare and emotionally manipulate. And, women play a significant role in this. There's a reason we call them the Karens, and this is the Karenovirus. And it's like, as a man, I see other men taking advantage of women, taking advantage of poor people, all these profiteers. Yeah. And I'm fucking pissed. I mean, the warrior in me is stirred by this to say, no, we got to stand up. We got to stop this hysteria and this manipulation and recognize it for what it is. Point 4 in the story, widening gap. It could take more than a decade to reduce the number of people living in poverty back to pre-crisis levels. It's going to take more than that. The collective wealth of the world's billionaires rose $3.9 trillion. Do you know how much? I don't know how much money that is. 3.9 trillion. Well, I know, to go to the moon and back. It's insane. It's not even about the money anymore. The money is a means to control, to power, to manipulating economic value. The collective wealth of the world's billionaires rose $3.9 trillion between March and December 2020 to reach $11.95 trillion. The 10 richest men saw their net worth increase by $540 billion. Number 5.5, international cooperation. Temporary tax on excess profits made by the 32 global corporations that profited the most during the pandemic could have raised $104 billion in 2020. And again, stop this. I got to jump in editorially here and say, no, you cannot fix the old system with the problems with thinking that created them. You have to look at something else. And this idea of more government power to fix a problem that government created is not the answer. As I've said, grow vegetables, not government. Step back from the system. Don't fall for the hype. And one of the important things is to get away from the US dollar, right? So we go now to BloombergQuint.com. Stephen Roach writes, today, January 25th, Bloomberg opinion, after an initial spike higher, the dollar has been falling steadily since the COVID-19 pandemic took hold in the US last March. It's down about 10 to 12% relative to America's major trading partners, dropping to its weakest level since early 2018, as measured by several of the broad dollar indexes. There is more to come. Now, there have been people, Ron Paul famously as doomsday predictors with the dollar. And Ron Paul maintained his intellectual integrity, but a lot of people around him said, oh my gosh, the dollar's about to collapse. And it's like, yeah, you've been saying that since 1971 and Nixon taking us off the gold standard. And it's like, no, the sky's not falling, but eventually it will. And there will be a transition away from the dollar system. And again, take hope. Take inspiration from what we're seeing here. While things get shittier in the short term, the destabilization of the system, and RIP Trump's presidency, or rest in shit, I don't care. But I got the one thing I will appreciate about Trump, whether he gets credit for it, deserves credit for it or not, is that he was a destabilizing force. Yes, he grew government. Yes, he restricted gun rights. Yes, he opposed freedom by policy at every chance he got. And yes, he maintained the general communist status quo in the United States. We have most of the 10 links of the Communist Manifesto in effect here. Look it up. And the destabilizing effect, I think, gets us closer to that change. So the story goes on here. 3 main reasons why he said the dollar would fall: widening the U.S. current account deficit, the rise of the euro, and a Federal Reserve that would do little in response to any weakness in the greenback. Now, remember, this is all engineered. This is not like the Federal Reserve literally has the best mathematicians that money can buy. That's what you get when you can print money, right? And the collapse of the dollar, if people aren't paying attention, is going to lead to a push for either a new global currency or the Amero or something to replace it. And we have to be paying attention. So, back to this story, and it goes on. And again, all these links, if you want to get further into any of these stories, will be in the notes wherever you're seeing or watching or listening to this podcast. The article concludes, yes, debt and deficits may not be consequential in low inflation, low interest rate climate, hardly a brilliant theoretical breakthrough, but saving or the lack thereof still matters. And this is a big thing right now about, who has money. People, the government wants to have money. As for the last round of stimulus checks, mine went to an old bank account that is closed and went back to whoever in government. And I'm supposed to get a check in the mail. And as of today, I remain unstimulated. And yet there are people getting, grants and loans and paycheck protection program money and all of that. And more than ever, American savings are depleted and not regrowing if you're not in that wealthy group or those people who are doing well under the pandemic. So with the U.S. increasingly relying on foreign capital to compensate for its growing shortfall of domestic savings, and with the Fed's open-ended quantitative easing measures create a massive overhang of excess liquidity, the case for sharp further weakening of the dollar looks more compelling than ever. A still raging pandemic and an economy on the brink of a double-dip recession leaves the Biden administration with no choice other than to opt for another round of massive fiscal relief. This outcome would have consequences for any economy for saving short American spells a weaker dollar. So yeah, this is, and Stephen Roach is not alone here. And there's a lot about this that's been talked about. Skipping ahead, CJ, in the pile, just a couple stories from Yahoo, ca.finance.yahoo.com. More weakness seen as dollar posts worst year since 2017. Yes, this is from a few days ago. The dollar posted its biggest yearly loss since 2017 on Thursday, capping off a manic year that saw the currency as a safe haven in March when panic over the spread of COVID-19, blah, 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 blah. Next one from WSJ.com, Wall Street Journal. King dollar is abdicating, and that's okay. The Fed's stance means the greenback's weakness is likely to continue, but that isn't a disaster for investors who position themselves correctly. Yeah, that's right. You can still be a profiteer on this whole thing. But if you want to put your money somewhere meaningful, there's always crypto, and this is critical to coming out of this engineered dollar collapse. with a functioning economy where you're not being ripped off constantly with every single transaction, like, we've gotten used to. Forbes has this headline: after massive Bitcoin price boom, here's why February could be very big for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been on a phenomenal tear over recent months, adding over 200% since early October, though its huge rally sparked serious bubble fears. And yes, there's been a spike and come down recently with a huge rise in Bitcoin. And that's kind of how it happens. It's, in the rise of Bitcoin, as the documentary was called, you have spikes and you have crashes. And there are, as people get excited on these run-ups, there are Bitcoin bubbles, over points of overvaluation, and then come down. And so I would never say there's a bad time to buy Bitcoin, but if you're looking for short-term benefit, yeah, you might want to watch some of those fluctuations. So the Bitcoin price boom took Bitcoin over $40,000 earlier this month, up from around $8,000 in January 2020, making the combined value of the world Bitcoins worth more than Visa, Samsung, and Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah. Now, major Bitcoin buyer MicroStrategy, led by Bitcoin evangelist Michael Saylor, is gearing up to host a virtual Bitcoin corporate strategy summit in the first week of February, designed to help other companies copy MicroStrategy's Bitcoin playbook. And I was able to, spend Bitcoin Cash when I was in Hawaii for our honeymoon. Even got my tattoo touch-up paid for with Bitcoin Cash. Thank you to Mid-Pacific Tattoo in Maui. And they might be one of the latest businesses there to start taking Bitcoin. MicroStrategy, which now owns some 70,000 Bitcoin worth just over 1.1 billion after kicking off its Bitcoin buying spree last summer, is hosting the event on February 3rd and February 4th with thousands signed up to attend. Yes. Now there's a pushback. Surprise, surprise. ABC News has this headline: Iran, pressured by blackouts and pollution, targets Bitcoin. Yeah, don't take responsibility for your own failures. Blame the people trying to create an alternative system to your evil, corrupt, failing one. Social media in Iran has been gripped by speculation that Bitcoin is to blame for a series of recent power blackouts across the country. Now, there are issues with Bitcoin and mining and power consumption, and the crypto world is certainly on top of all the innovations possible to make it more efficient. But to say that it's responsible for blackouts, oh, no, pathetic. Now, social media gripped by speculation. How many troll farms out there are pushing this false message in order to demonize crypto? The article starts: Iran's capital and major cities plunged into darkness in recent weeks as rolling outages left millions without electricity for hours. Traffic lights died, offices went dark, online classes stopped. And it gets better. Market Insider, this is markets.businessinsider.com, says Janet Yellen suggests curtailing cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin, saying they're mainly used for illegal financing. And what she means by that is financing that we cannot control and tax. Now, I read this article a couple months ago. This is from Mark Ruiz, a columnist for the NWTimes.com. And he said, it's Mind on Money, don't lose sleep over the Great Reset. And in a sense, this is, I want to really, he says, the World Economic Forum is a think tank. It doesn't have an army. It has no control structures. And for those of you that don't know, the Great Reset is one of these, super class getting together to control the world, the new push, put a positive spin on. So the Great Reset. And of course, what they mean by that is reset to funnel more money to them, concentrate more power and wealth in the hands of the few. The elites but back to Mark Ruiz here. The elites in Switzerland can opine all day about their vision of the world, and there may even be some decent ideas mixed in here and there. To attempt to use this Great Reset concept as a foundation of individual financial or investment decision making is folly. Should we be aware? Of course. But losing sleep over this type of conversation is not healthy or productive. Watch all the YouTube videos you can find, but please keep this stuff in perspective. And someone who kept it in perspective, just a quick way to wrap up our economics block today about the concentration of wealth, the Great Reset. And there's so many people trying to parody this in activism. The Greater Reset I saw as one. I think the Great Leap Forward. There's so many ways of saying, look, no, let's have the counter version to that. New York Post has this headline: man used $2 million in COVID relief for a Bentley, Tesla, Las Vegas condos, according to feds. Yeah, and there's so many people just get yours. take care of yourself and your family first and foremost in all of this. And it is truly fucked up that we live in a world where who has money? How do you make money? It's not so much by providing value, it's by having your hand out effectively. I don't like that. I want to work. I want to provide value. I want to be a creator. And yet, even for me, it's easier to make money taking advantage of government programs than working hard. And that is a sad reality that humanity has to overcome. And I think we will. We are coming to some breaking points. It's a very exciting time to be alive. And if you really want to know the story of what's going on, follow the money. All right, that's that block for today. Let's check back in with comments before we get to Cash Jackson. And I'm afraid, Jim, let's get comment Jim up on stage full screen for a second. I think I have to let a dog out.
Oh, let a dog out. Okay, we're
Marilyn.
full screen. Okay,
Marilyn.
going through the comments. I don't know if you can hear me while you're there, but 420 Pat Rock says, honestly, if Switzerland gets EMP'd, all crypto will be gone for sure. Might be a trace or two here or there, but the illusion would be gone. It's an interesting thought I don't really know much about, and I wish Adam was here to comment on that.
Okay,
Which he
no,
is
I heard
now
all
again.
that. So EMP'd, that's I don't think that, okay, so EMP, electromagnetic pulses, and something that would shut down all electronics that it touches. No, they can't do that because it's their primary tool of control at this point. I mean, yeah, maybe I wouldn't put it past the super class to say we'd rather go back to the dark ages if we can still, get smoke blown up our ass and have everybody kissing the ring all the time. It's kind of like, would you rather be a king with today's technology or have better quality of life, just less ego stroking with 20 years ahead technology, which is an equalizing force. We've said this, like, capitalism, lifting all boats, right? And the great analogy that I think is so interesting is you go back to 1900, rich man, or 1910, whatever. Rich man drove a car, poor man walked. You go to just 2000, 1990, maybe. Rich man drives a Porsche, poor man now the poor man gets a Honda Civic. The functional disparity in quality of life has also decreased with technology, especially now that everybody has a smartphone. If the ideal modern human life includes sitting on your phone for a few, 5 or 6 hours a day, the difference between, in quality of life for a rich person and a poor person there is much less significant. And that's the future, where technology is distributed faster and more equitably as we go. You can see this in the trends of history.
Nice. Okay. Well, this one you should be able to answer quickly, I would imagine. Just for Gilbert Villarreal, he's saying, what do you think about the conspiracy that is Q? He's been following it for 3.5 years, so please help him out.
All right, Gilbert. All right, you want to talk about Q, the Q conspiracy? Can we call them officially Q-tards now? Are we done with this shit? No. So my understanding, I never got too deep into Q. I have some friends who did, and I'm trying to encourage them to call in and tell us, what they have shifted in their understanding now that it's over. Like, hey, trust the plan. Well, the plan failed. There's a lot of eating crow, a lot of soul searching for those who were really deeply invested in Q. And for those that you don't know, it was a sort of anonymous series of leaks from someone inside the Trump administration. I think it was a Trump hired propaganda campaign. By the way, Cash Jackson is backstage. We're going to get to him in just a minute, covering the false flag insurrection of January 6th. He was on the front lines there with our producer, CJ. So share this broadcast, and in less than a minute, we're going to go to that. But the Q thing, from the beginning, I was like, yeah, no, this is like Trumpian conspiratard manipulation. And I think that's a fair way of summing it up. I think Q, the only thing left for us to look at or figure out with Q is who was behind it, maybe, and what do we learn from it? But I'm pretty sure it's It's dead at this point. And what part of that is, could Trump come back in 24? I don't think so. I really don't. Like, I don't think. I think just his numbers, the ratings, pretty low recently. It would take now if anybody's capable of it, and he's getting old too. I think the presidency has aged him, as it does everyone, and I do think he has slowed down significantly. But yeah, I don't think, if he's getting ready to come back in 24, we'll see it coming. And who knows? Maybe the guy who we hired to be Q, and manipulate his supporters will remain on staff. But I doubt it. I think Q is done. We'll see.
Yeah.
All
exactly.
right. So
Leslie, real quick, a $5 super chat. That's the last one.
All right.
What is the best cryptocurrency to get into long term, in your opinion? Love what you're doing, Adam. Keep it up. That's from Mechanic Cookie. $5.
Mechanic Cookie, thank you so much for raising that question. And I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I wish I could say that I was up on the market right now and could recommend a specific long-term investment. But I will say that we should be having some guests on, hopefully Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus himself, later this week. But best long-term, that gets into much more subjective prediction. I think some people would say Bitcoin itself, because it has the biggest base user value, and the deficiencies with Bitcoin are in terms of transaction costs and speed. But in terms of momentum as long-term investment, that might be the best. Some people would say that Bitcoin Cash, and this is what Roger Ver would say, is that Bitcoin Cash is stable enough to be worthy of a long-term investment. But I would say that the main problem with crypto right now is that it is not stable enough for most users, or for easy casual investment without paying someone a commission to do it for you, because you kind of have to, however you're holding your crypto, you have to consider that carefully. And you have to be watching the market a little more closely than, say, if you bought gold, or you had gold or silver. You have gold or silver sitting in a safe at home. You sit there, lock it up. You don't think about it. Crypto, you kind of have to keep an eye on it. So we're going to have some guests on, hopefully Roger Ver, maybe some others, who will answer that question a lot more thoroughly. And we'll talk about serious Bitcoin investment, later on this week.
Excellent. Without further ado.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, since we've been gone over this extended winter break, a lot has happened. Most notably, most discussed among the Producers Club is, of course, because our executive producer, CJ, was there on the front lines with none other than Cash Jackson. Jackson is the false flag insurrection of January 6th. It certainly overwhelmed the American political conversation. A couple headlines we're going to get into today. Capitol attack will spur broad crackdown on domestic extremists. And now Brennan himself of the CIA said that even libertarians could be included as terrorists and domestic extremists. Meanwhile, this other headline also, Justice Department, FBI not charging some of the Capitol rioters. Yes, certainly with the legal considerations with Cash and CJ, we're going to be getting into that story as well. Apparently, some U.S. police weigh officer discipline after rally Capitol riot, according to the Associated Press. Definitely some interesting storylines on the how law enforcement was involved in this, despite two officers being killed by the insurrectionists. And we had the Capitol rioter charged with threatening to assassinate Representative Ocasio-Cortez, AOC. And with all of these headlines and so many, so much drama, I think there's no one better to help put this in perspective than Cash Jackson. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, our friend, former guest, an incredible activist, military veteran, former libertarian candidate, Cash Jackson. Cash, welcome back to Adam versus the Man. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, my friend. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. And excited to talk to you about this. Before we get into the analysis and commentary on some of these other sort of sub stories to this big one, tell us about your experience and why you were there on January 6th.
Well, I think we could probably all agree that the events that transpired on January 6th were historic. That at no time in my lifetime, certainly, has the conservative base ever storm the Capitol and beat on the doors of the United States Capitol. And from just a mere historical perspective, looking at this, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is actually going to happen. This is going to go down on January 6th. And I knew full well just how mainstream media is. Mainstream media, I think we can all agree again here that with mainstream media, that they're biased, that they inject a lot of their narratives and spin things the way that they want. And the American people on both sides of the aisle here, or this gate, okay, because these are working men and women fighting working men and women at the moment, and they all deserve as much transparency as possible as the story's told. And this isn't going to be a one and done issue. Okay, I think there's going to be a lot more that will be discovered through more, not just our own video, but others that were there that we saw recording. And in all likelihood, I believe over the next several months or years, that this is probably going to piece into something far larger than just what we're looking at, right? It's been portrayed as an insurrection, and I believe that there you see me right there, my goatee.
Yep.
But
well, let's get CJ for a second.
You're going
as long as he's showing this footage up here to tell us what we're seeing exactly.
Well, hey, Cash, always good to see you,
brother. CJ's gonna come on.
Cash is more than capable of telling you what's going on in this. We've seen this video, dissected it, but Cash, you know where we're at with this. You know what part we're at. So anything you need me to pull up, I've got ready for you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, got you, brother.
So with that footage,
so what he was showing there, this is the very front line. Okay, I'm right up against the fence here. I've the police that are back there, it was real calm throughout the crowd there, so you could kind of walk amongst yourselves. People were talking back and forth. I interviewed a few people about why they were there and what they were doing, and made my way up there to the police line, because I knew if things popped off, it's going to pop off right there. Now, right there, you're looking at some rubber bullets that I got shot in the leg with. You see that I got media on me right there, K Jackson, VLN. On my back, you'll see I've got press in real large letters. This is a guy who's already been sprayed. Where he got sprayed, I don't know, because there wasn't a lot of spray going off, and so I wondered with some of them if it wasn't deliberate, because you saw pepper spray go out of both sides from the police line as well as the side of these people, and you don't know who's who without being able to identify each specific individual and who they are and what their identity is. You don't know, and of course the mainstream media ran with a narrative that every single one of these people are in fact MAGA people or Trump supporters. And I don't believe that they are. I believe what we witnessed was in fact a large-scale act that was orchestrated. And I believe that they used the science of human beings and the psychology of what happens when human beings are harmed, and fight or flight begins to kick in. I think that they use that science against the people that they had emotionally riled up and baited into being there.
Right. Now, hold on, Cash, about this. One of the things that I've seen as criticism leveled against you and CJ is as libertarians going to cover this. Well, you're going to a Trump event. You're pro-Trump. And I do think it's unavoidable, and it's kind of pointless to deny that the main thrust of this was stop the steal, get Trump in. But you were there to cover this, and I think you and CJ are kind of walking a fine line here, because you're also, the idea of objective journalism is silly nonsense, right? But you were there to cover it, not to be supportive of the thrust of it. But at the same time, you're there at the front lines. It's very exciting. It's traumatizing even to be around a little bit of death and violence and that kind of confrontation. And you're praising parts of it. And we're still, the main story, as I understand, is this is staged. This is a kind of false flag for the American people. Let's have the people attack the government, when really it's the government tricking some people into attacking the government and letting it look like a bigger attack, right? Because they could have stopped this. They could have had a wall of shields. They could have had zero
Right.
casualties on their side. They
Right.
could have stopped anybody coming in the building. It's the capital of the United States of freaking America. They have the money, the guns, and can you address sort of separating yourself from being confused with a Trump supporter and tell us what it is that you're excited about here and what exactly is the positive that you see coming out of this?
Well, I think that it's a, I don't think that kind of the angle that we're going at here is what people are seeking to do is to discredit myself and CJ or anybody that's within my team because we're at this event and we're covering it. Well, okay, well, let's break a few things down. Number one, I'm there in the very front, as you see me right there. And at no time did I see any other media that identified themselves. Now, could they have been concealed and not have any identity there? Sure, they could have had people there that were doing that. But I was the only one there in the front with CJ, identified myself as press, right? I wanted to see for myself, how are the police going to treat media here? I've introduced myself to them. I've been, very calm and polite and respectful to all of them. Made polite conversation, towards them, but they can't engage or they won't engage in conversation. So, that the angle instead that I don't think we should be looking at is whether or not me or CJ should be there covering the event or what our motives are. I think a bigger question is, why do we not see CNN, ABC, NBC down there in the front? Okay, we have a duty and a responsibility to report the news, to show angles that aren't being shown, to piece together the entire puzzle and have a discussion about what truly transpired. I think a lot of people have looming questions on, were there Antifa antagonists embedded inside there? I believe that it's very likely with what we saw. We saw bricks being lobbed out of the crowd just hard enough to land somewhere in the crowd and hit people. Saw multiple people hit in the face. Saw pepper sprays being randomly sprayed into the crowd where there was nothing occurring, no violence, no reason to be spraying pepper spray. So it didn't make any sense. And just from an observer standpoint, as you're seeing what's happening, there's no real violence. And from the time that before we even got on scene, we heard what it sounded like 40 millimeter rounds popping off. Could have been percussion grenades of some kind, could have been smoke grenades, but there was no smoke anywhere. Could have been rubber bullets or other less than lethal rounds, as they're called, because they are lethal. People mistake this. Those rubber bullets and pepper balls and stuff, they are lethal. Those temperatures there, very cold. I got shot right between the eyes, so I know full well what it feels like.
Oh yeah, no, you catch one of those to the skull, you're easy concussion or brain damage, potential death. Right it is
right there.
They are more aggressive than necessary. But Cash, about the mainstream media, it's funny. I obviously I've been there. I've done the media circuit around DC. CNN and Fox have studios literally a stone's throw from the Capitol, like right across the street. Did they have? Was there any camera crew there from mainstream media, even like at a safe distance?
I want you to see what I really suffered over there, right? And you can call it my own idiocy. You can call it brass tacks. You can call it whatever you want. Okay, it doesn't negate the fact I did get shot right between the eyes, and it was a very painful reminder of what the state is capable of. And it was a very potent lesson for me to not put myself or my guys in harm's way, which is one reason we didn't go back for the 20th, because with the National Guard there, if anything popped off, I'm not dying. Okay, I'm not dying. I served enough for this country, and my guys aren't going to die for any dumb shit. But we want our guys to be covered, and we want the entire public to be covered fairly at these events. And I believe that I have the capability to do that. I mean, I've not been shy about the fact that whenever I ran for governor, I was endorsed by Black Lives Matter. I've not been shy about the fact that I went out to Standing Rock. As far as I'm concerned, my character at this point, it's not impeachable, right? But because I've got flaws, but I don't know what people are searching for in any association. We went there to make sure that we got some additional footage and coverage, and that we develop independent media to a larger degree, and we connect ourselves as veterans and build out something stronger within our own, right? And get outside of relying upon mainstream media, right? We're smarter than they are. We're more numerous than they are. So why do we let them continue to win?
So what are the positives that you see out of this, Cash? What are the things that you take encouragement from?
As far as the event, or me, or us as a developing veteran liberty network building?
Well, both. I mean,
What
but
do you-
I mean
what do you
more
specifically
for America.
reference?
Like, what can we say this is a good sign for? I mean, and I've heard some of the stuff that you and CJ have said talking about this, where
This is an argument for
you might be storming
this
the
is an
Capitol for the
argument
wrong
for
reason,
us.
but at least you're standing up to government, right?
Well, right. And so as libertarians, Jesus Christ, it's like, do we want to be on the front lines of shit going down in this country, or do we want to continue to sit in the back of the bus where Republicans and Democrats continue to tell us that we have to sit, that we've got no place at the table? We all know how they've shaped ballot access laws to prevent the access. We know how unfair it is. We are more common sense, more neutral people, but that also makes us less likely to engage in going to the front lines like this to report on these matters. We just step away and we go, you know what, fuck it. You know, let them sort it out, let them do their thing. We take a hands-off approach.
Let me ask this. Let me ask this as a slightly more pointed question then, because we want libertarians. I'm 100% with you in spirit there. I don't see and aside from what you guys did, which was great, covering this and helping make sure that people understood that the nature of this is a false flag, and we're going to come back to the headline about crackdowns on domestic extremists. But with what you're seeing here, and you say you want libertarians on the front lines, aside from covering these things, I assume you're referring to some greater libertarian opportunity. What is the opportunity for libertarians to say, we're not going to, let's have a libertarian storming of the Capitol now that we've seen a template, and no, that's not the answer. So what is it that you see as the libertarian opportunity coming out of this?
Well, I think that if we go back and include whenever we first began this network, which we are brand new, we are something that we're trying to grow, and for some reason we kind of call into question people's motives as they're again, look at the journey here, right? Where I've went. I'm legitimately a father that served this country for 20 years in the military, right? I did so believing I was doing the right thing. Okay, I've evolved in my line of thinking, understanding the weaponization of our working men and women as it pertains to foreign policy. And so, like anyone else, I'm on my own specific journey of growth here. And this is an area that we're deficient in. If we were to discuss a liberty movement, I believe that we are deficient. We've got, Reason Magazine, which does a fantastic job. We've got Lions of Liberty, which is an amazing podcast. But there's other avenues that we have need in as libertarians and as American citizens. I think there's a larger demographic we can reach when we show people that, look, we're going to report things fairly. Nobody's really called into question or discussed the fact that we covered the Breonna Taylor March in Washington, D.C., that we were down there at midnight and they were shooting off rounds and stuff down there as well, albeit it wasn't anything to that degree. But nobody's called into question those events and how we handled ourselves and the discussions that we had civilly with people from Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and we were able to walk with them, and there was a filling out process there, and we had to show them, look, we're not here to threaten you. And their biggest concern was that we didn't portray them in the light that wasn't true, and I explain to them, well, your behaviors and what you do show otherwise, because you're putting umbrellas in my face, you're impeding my ability to walk freely down the street. I'm a 20-year veteran. I appreciate you being at least peaceful to the degree that you're not assaulting me with your umbrella, but you shouldn't be impeding my ability to walk freely down the street. And I'm live streaming, right? I'm not editing this. People are watching this. We could go back and watch those live streams if they didn't take my page down, or they blocked my access. You guys might be able to go and watch those live streams, but
Cash, CJ.
So I think that we've been fair. I think this is, well, we can stop right here. Thank you, CJ, for grabbing this.
I was.
Look, you see that flag right there?
Yeah, this is what started
This is a piece that we wanted to discuss. Right. So this is what we saw, right? See this little unlikely lady break through the police line? The tiniest and most unlikely of creatures here, right? Now I want to look at the police line. Okay. They put put little police officers in here, right? You see the size of some of these people. Like I could have, like, look at this. It's like children down there. Look, it's like I'm towering over some of them, and I'm only 6'1". So these were some little bitty people. Well, then this lady breaks through on the other side and is tackled. Now on that side over there, this is where the real surge begins, when everything just really tumbles south. When that flag right there, when it goes down, when she's tackled, when that Betsy Ross touches the ground, okay, boom, right? And we saw several instances of them. Now here's another guy that breaks through the line. Another, let's say, if I stereotyped him, I would say he's not the most physically fit individual. Broke through as well, and kind of hopped through, and it just looked like, come on now, right? There's some big guys around here, and these are the two that broke through. Well, that flag that you saw go down, we recovered that flag, and we have that flag in our possession. And we believe that was what was used. We believe that was the signal, what was used for the push, because then that's when it happened. Boom. Then from both sides, everybody goes, and there's people already, there's a lot of people up there with gas mask on. You can't tell who these people are. We have no way of knowing. And I think that some of these people are going to need to be identified. I think that we should know, where did the aggression begin? Somebody started it. And there should be enough evidence there to say, okay, I think it's important that we understand, right? The state they should be maintaining control, right? And when the state loses control like that, right? So that's what we have them for. Okay. I'm not defending it, but that's what we have them for, right? Is to maintain control.
Right. Allegedly.
Everything that they did in their tactics. I'm no rocket scientist, but if you see that stairwell back here, right? All of these cops kind of allow themselves to be corralled and pinned in that corner. And I'm like, oh, what a magnificent angle they have. Now you're telling me the Capitol Police who train here, who know every inch of this property, that they don't know to not back themselves into a corner in front of what has been described of this insurrectionist domestic terrorist mob? That's all horse shit. It's complete horse shit, right? The tactics that they utilize, we know full well you don't let yourself get backed into a corner, right?
Right.
And that they allow 25, 30 cops to allow themselves to do that. That was to frame a narrative, right? They had elevated camera views. And so looking down, what does it look like? Oh, all of these innocent police. And now the Democrats are all of a sudden going to be pro-cop and pro-police. Horse shit. We know it's horse shit, right? They've been gaslighting us for the purposes of dividing us, and we want to show that.
Cash, if I may ask a question to see if I can put a point on the understanding of this as a false flag. The security here was obviously insufficient, poorly managed at best, and more likely deliberately at some point staged to allow this to happen. And with the intelligence apparatus of the United States government, they knew how many people were going to be there. They knew it was going to happen. Somebody there obviously promoted this, whether it was the Trumpkins or someone in the deep state or other groups that maybe we can't say yet. But at some point, someone with the U.S. Capitol Police or who could pull strings with them said, stand halfway down. And as a result of that, this event resulted directly in the deaths of at least 3 people. I don't want to count, hey, someone had a heart attack in the crowd. That's not really a death caused by the event. There were a few of those. But 2 Capitol Police officers and the Air Force veteran, say her name, and even now I'm like, Ashley, was it Ashley Babbitt? Was that it? The Air Force veteran?
Babbitt.
Or Babbitt, who was shot, right. Ashley Babbitt, and it's one of those, you go, oh yeah, well, we're not hearing her name in the mainstream media. And, we have to repeat it for ourselves to remember that she was a victim
Right.
of this, that she was set up, she was one of the patsies, right? And that whoever made that decision,
Right.
and to see 2 cops killed in this, that's, I don't want to celebrate that. I mean, they're pawns in all of this too, just like you and I were, and CJ was in the military. There she is, Ashley Babbitt, and I don't want to hail her as a great warrior because she was there for Trump, but she was a victim of the manipulation. She was all into Q and a hardcore Trump supporter, and she believed that what she was doing was righteous because she was being lied to the same way that I was lied to about what we were doing in Iraq. Is it fair to say, Cash, that someone made the decision to say, let's have inadequate security, and that the blood is directly on their hands here?
Oh, absolutely. Well, there's going to be a lot of hands that this is tied to. And that's the really difficult part here, is that if we're truly honest with ourselves about what drove this, what led up to this, this isn't something that just was built up and transpired over Trump's administration. This is something that has been being fueled for decades now. And it's been the very slow but surely degradation of our liberties and encroachments on those. And what we do is, we know this, we see Republicans go back and forth with Democrats. Many of us have been guilty of that ourselves as we were prior Republican or Democrats.
In our status days,
what you're seeing, right. And now it's like what you're seeing is a tidal wave push. And many of these people, just like us, they have legitimate gripes with government. And when they see things, and we see it as well, right, we know that this administration will be targeting the Second Amendment. We know that they will be targeting things that conservatives hold dear. And what's that going to do? It's going to cause more angst and hate in this country. It's going to drive more discord and division. And we all, as working men and women in this nation, I think that we've all got claim to being pissed at our government, just for a different set of reasons. But at the root of it all, they're infringing on all of our liberties so much. They're making promises that they don't fulfill. And the only thing that they really succeed in doing is grandstanding in Congress, and holding a partisan line and framing all of us against one another. And it's complete horseshit. And we need to show that, a lot of these people, their emotions were weaponized against them. And plenty of them, I have no doubt, did let their better judgment and their emotions get caught up in this mob mentality, right? But did they incite the mob mentality, or was the mob mentality incited intentionally by these tactics that we saw being utilized? We were at elevated points, filming the crowd down there. We watched as this so aggressive crowd, as they called it. We heard the calls for them. Whenever they pulled a police officer out of the tunnel from the doorway there on the west side, the crowd's chanting, "Let him go! Let him go! Let him go!" And they peacefully, we watched them, and we got some of it filmed of them walking calmly, peacefully, these police officers around, handing them up. We observed as people, when they tried to break windows, I saw people get snatched down from breaking windows. As a matter of fact, and I have to applaud CJ here that, we were sitting up next to a window that had been cracked, and it was right behind us. And we were kind of sitting there on the ledge, and this guy approaches us, and he kind of signals, wants us to hop down. And so we did. And then when we realized that he's going over there for the purposes of trying to break this window, CJ says, yeah, go ahead. You can break the window, but I'm going to film you doing it, just so you know. And so without any threats of violence or anything, he deterred the behavior of destroying the Capitol building. So if myself and CJ were there for any type of malice or ill will, do we both have legitimate gripes with government? Hell, the shit, yeah, we do. Probably more so than anybody. I mean, CJ Abernathy deserves more than a Purple Heart. That guy should have the Medal of Honor for surviving 6 years of deprivation of rights under color of law. I mean, and then to have the brass tacks to hang along with me through that mob of shit, I give the guy a lot of credit for enduring what he has. I mean,
speaking of which, yeah, let's get CJ up here for a minute. CJ, I want to see if there's anything you want to share about the sequence of events of that day from your perspective, you and Cash, and your experience, and how far in did you guys actually get in the end?
I got right to this door, right about where this person's clinging at right here. I was right there. I had to go look for this guy when we got separated because he decided that, he's got to get the higher vantage point that my ass can't climb up. So I ended up having to go around and I ended up having to look for him. So I meandered my way through this crowd to get there to find out where he is. And come to find out, he's more getting shot in the face on the over by the other steps. So I actually made it to right to this door right here to see if he was there. And the things I saw, I can never unsee. There was, I'm trying to find it here. We do have a video somewhere in the pile that has attempted murder on it.
Let me.
Go ahead, Cash.
What appears to be. Well, we don't know. I'm going to have some police officers review it. It looks like a guy's getting smashed in the back of the head with a brick or a stone.
It looks like it. It looks like a duck. Let's just say that.
Wait, who is doing the smashing and who's getting smashed?
Your guess is as good as mine.
We can't tell.
But it looks like they're not cops in uniform. Neither is a cop in uniform.
Nah, I'm not going to say who they were or even speculate. Honestly, right. I don't. If you can, this looks like a giant Where's Waldo, doesn't it?
Right.
So I'm sitting here going, I don't know where Cash is. I don't know where our guys are. I had to go up and look. I ended up being right along this side here against this wall.
Oh yeah, they disable. Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point, right? Make sure you note that. Okay, why do they disable all of our abilities to live stream? Why would they do that? Why would we not want more transparency in what's happening? Because let's say you've got some idiot, let's just say you've got some half-cocked redneck who went out there for the purposes of hurting people, doing ill will, right? He's also dumb enough to go running around videotaping what he's doing, right? Or live streaming it to his buddies, right? Why wouldn't we want more evidence to piece together to show the bigger picture? It's like if you had more, then you have a lot more angles. You can kind of discard things. You can see things from different perspectives and go, oh no, that's not quite right, because we know we could look at the exact same Coke can, spin that Coke can around, and we're looking at different perspectives of the same Coke can. Okay.
This is the video
and
right
the
here.
benefit of us being there.
Right there, you see one person throwing a brick there. You can see they're taking out the lamp.
They're passing the lamp out right here.
Well, all right. So, guys, I want to, before we wrap up this segment, I want to ask you guys just, and before we get to the bigger questions about, what we still have to worry about this, where things are legally for a lot of people regarding this. My understanding is you guys were concerned that with the FBI kind of rounding everybody up who was there, since you guys were in some places that the public might not have supposed to have been at any particular moment, you were concerned that you might get wrapped up in that or charged inappropriately, but that you did honor that line of journalism, and that it seems that you have been contacted by the FBI, and you're in a place where at least now you're comfortable talking about this publicly, and we are grateful to have this exclusive on Adam versus the Man. So are you in a place where you feel safe that you can use your footage, in defending yourself from persecution, and maybe even use it to secure some kind of immunity in this case?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't fear. Here's the thing. Number one, I don't fear persecution.
Anything, because you're Cash Jackson.
And I'm in a unique. I'm in a unique perspective where me and CJ both, where we have survived not seeing our children. Myself for 3 years, him for 6 years for his daughter. We have survived arguably what is probably the most inhumane policy that the United States has currently. We've done so peacefully. We have been very vocal about where we stand on issues with the state. And I don't think there's one person out there that's got more claim to want to report fairly and show government for what it truly is. And eating our own and turning on our own, that's not the way to do business, right? And if here's what I want to build, right? And what I want to see. I want to see a stronger libertarian party united, but that has, the testicular fortitude and wherewithal to support one another, be there to stand up and fight for their fellow libertarian, actually be a part of something and not just sit behind your computer and do it. And I'm not saying, you've earned your licks and your stripes, man. You've been out there. You've got a legacy that you built upon. And I think that you earn the right, if you want to sit your ass wherever you want to sit your ass safely and do whatever you want to do, that's great. I wish you the best, man. But myself, I got one hell of a gripe with the state and how it's still conducting business, and predominantly as it's dividing American citizens against American citizens. When I believe when we finally get, this mainstream push of what liberty looks like on, hey, dude, I can respect you. I can respect your views and your opinions and who you are as a person, and live peacefully over on my property that, well, I believe strongly in my property line here, and we're going to win people, right? All of these people have gripe with the state. And as far as I'm concerned, they're also prone to being recruited to the Libertarian Party or the Liberty Movement. Just deconstructing very authoritarian ideas is a win for me. And you know what? You're not going to deconstruct those ideas unless you build relationships.
Yeah, no, Cash, I gotta ask these sort of bigger, harder question here about this. I mean, if it's a false flag, right? And I believe this analysis is pretty obvious. Keep in mind, the false flag victim is the United States federal government. The false assailant in this case is the American people, subgroups, Trump supporters, insurgents, insurrectionists, boob boys, libertarians, things like that. And so, is there, CJ, no, am I wrong in that analysis?
I fundamentally disagree with that analysis. Okay, absolutely. I believe that there was, I think they're as much a victim. First off, the state can't be a victim of its own plan. They knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen in advance, 9/11, I believe.
No, they're the false victim. The government is the false target or the false victim.
No, what they did, Adam, is they knew that these people were going to be there that day, and they used what I would call useful idiots in this opinion. In my opinion, maybe Cash, he thinks they're working men and women pitted against working men and women. I think if you're good enough to be the useful idiot of the day,
let's say pawns, not useful idiots. Then, right?
Okay, if I have to be politically correct on this show, okay.
No. I'm using a more precise, inclusive term that's less objectionable.
Okay, fine. So if we want to call all of these people that were there that day useful pawns, then fine, they were useful pawns. But the thing being that, in my opinion, they knew that they were going to be there. They had
Hold on. Let me say this. They're not useful pawns, okay? These are all people on their own specific journey in the understanding of what liberty looks like. And at some point in time in your life, if you're so moved to seek redress from government that propels you to go to Washington, D.C., that is the American ideal and value being expressed, right? And I don't know why our nation has forgotten that, well, you know what? It was founded upon overthrowing tyrants. And I think we can all agree there are tyrants in both parties to a significant degree, that they're being bought off. That this isn't something that even needs to be debated between Democrats and Republicans. They can already agree on this, that the entire American government, and it's something that, a year ago, I wouldn't have probably agreed with Adam here on dissecting or abolishing the federal government. But, knowing what I know and in my growth and process, I have to admit, it's so corrupt, it's so filthy on both sides. What else can you do? I mean, I don't really know what is the other solution to it, if not to absolve this government, because it's filthy, it's awful. I mean, I don't know. It's a legit question that we should, again, a year ago, I wouldn't have made that argument. But knowing what we all know, and it's like, what conclusion do you come to if you keep going down the hole? I don't know.
All right, guys, let's let CJ finish his point on this, and then we're going to wrap up with the one big question I got.
Well, there's also somebody else that has a big question that should be included on this, and that's the co-host, Comment Jim Freedom. Jim, I know that you had a disagreement with what Cash had said about the front line, so I'm kind of curious now after listening to Cash speak, pre-show, post-show. What's your thoughts? So if you don't mind joining, I'd appreciate your thought on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what
Yeah,
you're
no, that'd be
referring
great.
to is CJ, is the all cops are bastards philosophy, basically, because you were saying backstage before the show that you were there to document that there are some good cops and there are some bad cops, and I immediately stopped you and said I fundamentally disagree, and it's on the argument that all cops are essentially enforcing unconstitutional, unethical things at some point in their career regularly. Even the best cop is your best friend who goes to every barbecue and doesn't arrest any potheads, blah, blah, blah. I guarantee you there's other things he does that are completely unconstitutional and make him accomplice to the state. So I don't think there are any good cops right now. Period.
Okay, fair. And that's a fair
All right,
understanding.
hold on. I got to intervene as the host here because that's a huge sidebar. Jim, your point is very well taken. I'm not going to let the coverage of this topic turn into a debate about cops, though, beyond the scope of this event. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the final big question about this. And CJ, stay on. CJ and Jim, stay on for this. And if there are comments on this, this is the big question. This is why we're still covering this. It's not just an historical protest that turned into a riot and a staged duopoly drama false flag event. It's with the intent of the false flag to be able to then attack the false attackers here, which I said, the American people, conservatives, Trump supporters, libertarians, boog boys, insurgents, insurrectionists, domestic extremists. So the headline, and CJ, go ahead and put this up, from MSN.com, Matt Zapotowski, Shane Harris write, Capitol attack will spur broad crackdown on domestic extremists. As I mentioned, former CIA Director John Brennan said, that even just libertarians could be included as domestic extremists now. The story says the storming of the U.S. Capitol on January 6th crystallized for national security officials that violent extremism is not a threat exclusively imported from foreign shores. It is made in America. And I got to think there's a certain irony for all the conservatives who were supporters of the global war on terror and didn't stop to think, oh, yeah, where I live is part of the globe, too, and it's going to come home. And it makes you wonder how much of what we've seen overseas has been in the realm of staged events and false flags. And so what we're seeing here as this crackdown is that these conspiracy-minded far-right potential threats are police officers and firefighters, realtors and bartenders, even public officials from across the country, emboldened by the affirmation of President Donald Trump and each other to publicly espouse racist views or commit violence against the government, analysts say. So what do we have to fear? What is the crackdown coming? Because they've got us already with COVID afraid of each other so much. But now your neighbor might not just have that virus, which shall not be named. Your neighbor, a policeman, a firefighter, a realtor, a bartender could be one of those domestic extremists, homegrown terrorists. So for everybody, what do we have to fear from this? And what can we do to resist, evade, or fight back against the crackdowns on freedom that this false flag insurrection will be used as the excuse for? Let's go to CJ first.
Well, we've already seen they want to start a new 9/11 style commission. They want to take everybody that was there and lump them into categories that turn them into domestic terrorists, regardless of their credentials, regardless of their background, their upbringing, even political belief. But if Republicans and libertarians are going to be crucified by a Democrat governor, what we're going to see coming out of it, I believe, is going to be a bifurcated economy. We're going to see the violation of constitutional rights. I think Cash he hit it right when he said the communists have taken over. Cash, if you want to speak to it, you can talk about the communist. Adam, you say the Communist Manifesto planks are already here. Well, what if Cash told you that he's got them claiming that they've won this election? So where it goes from here, honestly, I think it's what you say, localization. The property line that you can secure yourself is the only freedom that you're guaranteed if you can defend it. And yeah, I just, like I said, I'm not afraid of the government.
If you can
I
defend
want the government to be afraid of me. And so I don't fear the FBI calling me. I don't fear them wanting to know why I was there, because Cash has done an excellent job in demonstrating that we are frontline journalists, citizen journalists in this case, and veteran citizen journalists at that. And we will go places that they won't go. And so regardless of what's used in the future, Gardenia or in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas, or here in my home state of South Dakota,
We'll still be free.
we'll still have our freedom that we can defend.
Yeah, right.
So
now, CJ, I'm thinking. Before we go, we're going to go to Cash on that question, and then check in with Jim, and then final thoughts from Cash. But one thing I want to just underscore that CJ said, thank you for mentioning the bifurcation of the economy, which is, I think I coined that term earlier last year, talking about, I don't know if I was the first to use it. It's not really that special of a term, but
you definitely brought it onto this show as hey, we're going to divide this economy if we keep going this route. And that's why I'm agreeing with you essentially.
Yes, no, and I want to let the audience know that we're going to be covering that more, and that's really critical to escaping the tyranny and saying, I am going to go into the black market, the gray market. That's the bifurcation, that the economy is splitting from the fully legitimate or authority-approved criminal red taxed violent market to peaceful black market solutions, to agorism, to opting out, to stepping back, to homesteading, to using gold, barter, silver, Bitcoin, all of that. That's the empowerment, and that is a huge thing to come out of this. So, sorry, Cash, to you on that question of, what is this going to be used as the excuse for, and what should we be doing about it?
What will the January 6th events be used for?
Yeah, like as an excuse. Are we going to get a new Patriot Act out of this?
Yeah. Oh, well, they're definitely going to use all of this as an excuse to further encroach upon liberties. And we're going to see, I believe, the wholesale targeting of libertarians. We've already heard that the rhetoric and the speech out there. So they're going to target libertarians. They're going to target conservative people that were there. And what they will carefully illustrate and refuse to show are specific faces, right? Who was there? Who are these individuals? Where did those bricks get thrown from that we saw fly through the crowd?
Mm-hmm.
Why was so much violence used against me when I was clearly, had readily identified myself as press? I mean, I got shot in the top of the head with a 40mm canister. I got beat with batons. We sucked a lot of tear gas and pepper spray, and then I got shot right between the eyes with a fucking marble, dude. And it was not a pleasant experience, but you know what? I came out alive, and we captured a lot of amazing video footage and coverage. But look, you're going to see a lot more of these transpire in a Joe Biden administration. And do you think CNN is going to report fairly? Do you think ABC is going to report fairly? Right? We're needed, right? An organization like ours is desperately needed, and we should fund the shit out of it. I should get lots and lots of fucking money to get lots and lots of cool shit so that my guys don't get fucked up when we go do this stuff. Because you know what? These events are going to transpire. People are going to die, and they will begin to encroach upon a lot of liberties, because right now, this is the point that we left off right here, January 6th, okay? That's when conservatives walked away, because Trump said, and they all walked out of there peacefully. When Trump said, he tweeted out for them to walk away, or whatever his specific tweet was, the whole damn thing stopped. They all turned around and walked off. As soon as Trump said stop, and you better think about that, right? You had 250,000 people there, and as soon as Trump tweeted out stop, they turned around in about face and walked out of there peacefully. And who was in the back? Well, you can go back there and catch some of the pieces of the interviews that we got with the affiliate out of Australia, and who was it, Bloomberg, and there was a few different news agencies we did interviews with. And what did they portray us as? Well, of course, MAGA supporters. You know?
Well, Cash,
Um,
you mentioned
that-
you know, the
that's
Biden
the portrayal.
administration, and there's one specific thing I wanted to share from this story so people know like what is actually happening here. White House Press Secretary Jan Psaki, I think that's how you say her name, said Friday that Biden had tasked the Director of National Intelligence in coordination with the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security with compiling a comprehensive threat assessment on violent domestic extremism. The White House will also have its National Security Council review policy to determine whether the government can better share information or take other steps to mitigate the threat. She said the review will be overseen by Joshua Geltzer, a former senior director for counterterrorism, along with current officials. As she said, quote, clearly more needs to be done. Jim, anything in the comments on this that you want to bring in, any wisdom from the audience to share?
Well, they're all mad at me right now because they think I'm ignoring the comments. The Liberty Warrior says, "Why does Adam ignore the people in the chat? Ignore the little people. Is he an authoritarian?"
We have a
But
co-host who's called Comment Jim Freedom.
But everybody else is coming to our back. They're all explaining. They're saying they go through the comments between segments, and there's a lot of comments in here. And I've been paying attention to the content. I've been so into what's been going on. So I've been every once in a while I go, shit, I gotta catch up with what's happening with the comments, and everybody's got a lot. So it's been a lot. So I apologize for that. I'll be better at it as we go forward. It's them 2 weeks off, man. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how to do this.
yeah, getting back in the rhythm. All right.
As far as this goes, as far as the content we're talking about January 6th, I wish I was there. So I can't say much about it because obviously I wasn't there, but I like the feed that you guys brought. I'm like torn between, I like the idea, obviously, as a libertarian or even a collapsitarian of surrounding the Capitol, not necessarily breaking in or whatever, but just the large protest mob. I've been saying it for years and years that we need crowds of millions of people that are willing to camp out in the streets for months and months. That's what I think we need, not just a group that comes and then a group that says, yeah, we protested and made our voice heard, and then goes home and goes back to work and keeps paying their taxes. We need at least
when there is a uniting cause for that might be the mechanism, but it can't be get Trump to replace Biden, right? Well, no, well, see, even then, Jim, there has to be a moment,
you're right. What you just said is right.
Objective, and we don't have a unifying objective yet. To me, it's dissolve the federal government, right?
Localization, dissolve the federal government. That's what we need to go. That's why I'm saying I wish I was there. Because personally, and I'm not taking away anything you guys did, I think you did a fantastic job. I would have been press as well. I would have been saying that. But I also would have had my megaphone. And I would have been saying these things out loud to everybody. You know what I'm saying? No,
Jim would have been there trying to hurt people from Trump supporters to the Libertarian Party, right?
Get rid of Trump.
You would have been on that fine line. You would have been on that
journalism anymore. Jim would be there as a heckler.
Yeah, right.
I wouldn't be on the show right now, probably, if I would have went. I would have been, I don't know. The FBI would have had more to talk to me about, even though I wouldn't have done anything wrong. I would have just been screaming on my megaphone. That's it. I wouldn't have entered or nothing. I would have just been talking.
All right, CJ, you got to weigh in now.
Yeah, no, Jim, and that's the thing is that we made it clear to everybody. We both advertised in advance that we're a media company, network, veteran orientated. We were there. We were not there to instigate or anything. We were documenting. One thing we didn't get to on this broadcast that I wish we would have got to is the kicking of the flag. They had flags scattered all over the front, and they're not going to show you this on any of the channels, but there were American flags on the front, on the ground. They were kicking them, stepping on them. So yeah, they took 3 or 4, I think, that we counted, and to me, it was just like I said, a day that will forever be etched in my mind. But Cash,
why don't you show them where?
Before we go to Cash to wrap up, Cash, I just want to say I'm excited that you're taking this on as part of a bigger project with Veterans Liberty Network, and I do look forward to being involved as a supporter and part of it, if you'll have me as the bearded old man ranting from the mountains, at least. But Cash, I want to give you the last word here to wrap things up.
That's what I want. Look, people have right to question things, and they should question things. And I want people to keep a questioning attitude. And to me, that's you're supporting a journalistic attitude when you're even questioning me and my motives, and I appreciate that. But I want people to look at the total amount of the man of who he is at 42 years old and where I came through my own
Yeah,
journey,
you're older than me.
and how we can better work together, man. Right. Like, how can we like really build something together? It's like, dude, I want you to be successful. I want CJ to be successful. I want Jim to be successful. I find no fault in somebody, finding success and us supporting one another in this endeavor. And I don't know why we endeavor so much separately as human beings, as though, well, it's like, look, I've got needs, you've got needs. Do you want to make money? Yeah, I want to make money too. Well, let's make some money together. How much you want to make? I don't fucking know. But we'll work on it. Well, but we want to do it our way. We don't want to do it government's way. We don't want them telling us how we have to do it. And so in this respect, I'm Buck continuing with other men, and they're taking ownership of this, and together we want to build something to offer not just America but the world, because we've interviewed people from Russia and from, I think, Yugoslavia, and from around the world, and so we're having these interactions, and this is how we really spread liberty, is going front line, showing, what, hey man, I think you've got some legitimate gripes, and I think you're fucked up here, and this guy over here, yep, you got legitimate gripes, but I think you're fucked up over here, and I think that that we can relate to these people, and we can have conversations with them, and we can find that middle ground and pull more people towards us, not by being antagonists, but by being protagonists for liberty. And sometimes you got to get in there and take the licks with the people, man, that got a gripe with government.
Well, thank you very much, Cash. I really appreciate you joining us for this exclusive interview and everything that you're doing here. I look forward to staying involved and supporting you and keeping people up to date. And for our audience, you see that my main concern here is looking out for your safety, making sure that you're informed about what you have to look out for because of this. But you should also know that you have to you get to look forward to people like myself and CJ and Cash and Jim, and we're all vets, by the way, military vets, continuing to serve our country by actually serving the people instead of serving government. And this kind of media is absolutely critical to that. CJ, you want to share another last thought here?
You all thought this interview was over. I'm the executive producer of not only this show, but this show. This show, it doesn't end until this guy says it ends. Now, Cash got shot in the head. Did you know that?
Yeah.
I spent a week with Mr. Cash Damn Jackson.
It felt like a marble.
I promise you.
Oh, Jesus.
I promised you.
Oh, man.
That I was going to share at least what I thought to be a great thing. And Cash talked me into downloading something called TikTok. Have you ever heard of it, Adam? TikTok?
Yep.
Okay. Now, what proceeded to happen after, and I'm going to walk you all down this prim, beautiful rose, because Cash has a pretty decent following over on TikTok. He is like the Adam Kokesh of TikTok right now. Okay. and so what happened after, okay, let me give you a little volume.
Cash Jackson.
I like that shot.
We go where CNN won't go. We go where ABC won't go. We go where CBS won't go. We get down in the front with the people so that the people can be seen. How many shots? Hey, First Amendment comes first for a reason, right? USA. Freedom of the press, right? Freedom of speech, right? That's right. We get out here and report it like it is.
This is what happened after.
It's almost like hate is foreign to human condition.
That's the Betsy Ross flag picked up, by the way. We have permission to play this, right, Cash?
Hip-hop diet is for the guys who cannot even rap.
Yeah. Good show, man.
All right, I gotta let everybody know who's listening to this on the podcast. Go watch it.
This is why you get to watch.
There's meaning here. I want you to look for meaning.
It's the guts and it's the
It's,
glory.
it's political messaging.
100 stories.
Meet me in the middle.
It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey.
And I know I recognize that man. I bet they wanna see me dead. And they're gonna kill me.
All right, if you're listening, go watch the video. Go follow Cash Jackson on TikTok and CJ. They got some fun stuff up there.
Hey, I appreciate
Visual
it.
art, very visual art.
At night, the whole neighborhood is tripping like I'm out committing crimes. I'd be pissed at all these cracker
This
rappers
one was
singing.
fun.
All right, CJ.
That was,
All right, for those of you listening, some beautiful visuals going along with all this. CJ, let's let Cash put a dignified note at the end of this interview, shall we? To actually wrap things up.
right.
Still dignified, don't you worry. Do you remember, Cash? Do you remember?
Right. Face. And salute.
Just wait. This is telling a story, Adam.
Hip hop diet is full of guys who cannot even rap. Media dividing us by colors, white or black. If you believe in Jesus, these days Christians get attacked. If you don't hate police, then everybody thinks you're whack.
And everything's so connected. Black Lives Matter got so aggressive. White folks who agree can't support the message. Both sides go to war because they don't respect it. Our social climate from the global tension turned to total violence and a whole depression. We can unify and then I'll go against them, but we let them divide us with votes and elections. Hey, the music we bump, all about shooting guns and doing drugs. Hey, whoa, the things
In my hometown, they ruined my reputation because I didn't bow down. Hell no.
If you're audio listening, this is why we say to go watch YouTube.
Now mad as hell, sagging, fuck the po-po. My mom
Take a photo with a cop.
someday I will buy Bugatti with good doors, sail to distant shores, stand up on the prow.
Dude, I was actually crying on that bench. That shit fucked me up right there. We talked to several homeless people while we were out there, man, and that shit was, it got me.
So this
Look
is
at the plane right there.
People just
Look at the
ran
plane
right by
going
me.
in. If you can see it, the plane's going into the monument
Yeah.
right there too. It was crazy that we captured it like that. This is the one we get into.
That was accident.
It sounds like all the screams of a million men and women. You can smell it in the air and see it on your television. And the government don't care. They see the money, not the mission. War is coming. And there's nowhere you can hide. We get a 30-minute warning before the bomb reaches outside. You can run for somewhere safer, but you'll search one at a time. Because there's nothing you can do except prepare yourself to die. War is coming. Can you feel it? As you feel it from a secret. Who are you more scared of, Donald Trump or North Korea? Are you worried when you're reading all the headlines in the evening? Even atheists will pray that they survive and start believing war is coming. Born from money, born and ugly like it's always been. The bullets will stop faster and the bombs are made from hydrogen. America the brave will have to earn her stars and strike again. She wrote the book on history, but someone else might write her pen. War is coming. War is coming. War is coming to get the West. And it's beating down our door while we were beating on our chest. It was making better weapons while we laughed at making threats. And now it's coming to get offended and it's just become a threat. War is coming.
All right. Cash, you want to tell us what all that's about and wrap this up for us?
Absolutely. Well, you know, we see the, hold on. Somebody's calling me. Come on. Terrible timing. Hold on. I got a call coming in.
I thought that was CJ playing dramatic music for you.
No, yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. What you saw there, and what I believe is a medium that we could explore and use, is that of using art and drama to do political messaging, because we see all of the deplatforming that's being conducted, and if we really want to have an exchange of liberty-minded ideas, I think that we have to be more creative as well as peaceful, exploring those peaceful realms of how do we get liberty across to people that truly don't see it and don't understand it. And I think that if we kind of get outside of our comfort zones and our where we're used to being, that we can challenge ourselves and how we communicate this idea that we believe that we're correct in, and to do it peacefully. And so I'm trying to use some parts of me that I've never really let out before. I guess you could call the shot to the head a really painful reminder that at any time your life could be ended, and the state could be the reason for taking that life. And so you better live it to its fullest and explore whatever you can and find out what you're capable of as a human being. And I think that that's probably the most American idea that I could encourage our supporters to embrace.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much for joining us today, Cash.
Thank you, bud.
All right, we are over time. We're going to skim a couple headlines here and let you know what you have to look forward to tomorrow. Get to your comments and sign off. Just a little bit of good news today. Of course, Biden has been spotted maskless on federal property hours after signing mandate. Yeah, we're going to get into that in the first days of the Biden administration tomorrow. Quick quirk of economics. This headline from CNBC: an aggressive fight over containers is causing shipping costs to rocket by 300%. Yeah, if you want to get into that, link will be in the show notes. Another casualty, economic casualty of COVID. Now, we're going to have a big COVID block tomorrow. Excuse me, a block about the virus, which shall not be named, getting you caught up on that. Now, quick coverage of things that are dying aside from the U.S. dollar or have died. Larry King, rest in peace, Larry. Breezy interviewer of the famous and infamous, dies at 87. Over 5 decades, he chatted with an estimated 50,000 people from all walks of life, from presidents and pundits to swindlers and UFO experts. We will miss you, Mr. King. And now someone who you might not miss from RT.com, banker Benjamin DeRothschild, owner of Edmund DeRothschild Group, dies aged 57. Family to media. This is banker and chairman of the Edmund DeRothschild Holding SA Company. Benjamin DeRothschild has passed away at the age of 57. His family revealed to French media. Dying young, I suppose, but we can celebrate that there is a bit of an overturning. There's a refreshing happening even among the super class, as those who grew up with the same internet as the rest of us are finally coming into power. Also dying, the National Rifle Association files for bankruptcy, seeking to escape New York lawsuit. And yeah, screw the NRA for having sold out gun rights and failed gun owners all over America. We got a big international block coming up tomorrow with news from China, Russia, Italy, Uganda, and from the Dutch. Government in Netherlands resigns after benefit scandal. A lot of upheaval. Get out Bolsonaro ex-supporters in Brazil are calling for his removal. Scotland, another independence vote. Lots of cool stuff. We got great tech updates. Robots are coming. Space exploration is taking off. AI may be out of control. We will see. But for now, let's go to, we got good news to share for tomorrow. But let's go to Common Jim Freedom to wrap this up. Checking back in with the audience while I celebrate some freedom here.
What up?
Arizona, rec sales have started. That's right. Cannabis, recreationally legal in my home state of Arizona.
Yep. That's true. Started Friday. It's funny, too, because I was driving around with my daughter and saw a line around the door at this dispensary, this local dispensary, and I was like, oh man, they must be running deals. I didn't even make the connection. And then it was the next day, I think it was, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think, and I called and listened to the voicemail on their thing. And that's when I realized. And then I did a Google search, obviously, and saw that there's like 75 of them or whatever, all the licensed, approved, blah, 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 bullshit. Yeah.
And it's worth noting that it's rolling out slow. I actually went to a dispensary that was only doing medical still at first because they hadn't got their paperwork complete or some silliness like that. But it looks like the majority now of existing dispensaries in Arizona are approved legally for rec sales and have a process for that. But it won't be until May, I believe. This is just the rumor, I suppose, that one of them told me there that they're going to have a full licensing process for new shops coming to be able to sell recreationally as well. So yeah, this is the beginning of the middle of the end of the war on drugs. It is a new phase.
It's been a long beginning of the middle of the end, but it's still the difference now basically is it's so funny because now they have two lines outside the store, recreational line and the medical line. And the recreational line is ridiculously long, but if you have a medical card, you get to walk to this line and walk right in and cut all those recreational people. So that's now one of the benefits of getting a card. But this is the most hilarious thing in the world to me. If you have a medical card, you are restricted to up to 2 ounces for 2 weeks, right? There's an how much you're allowed to buy, and you get your numbers, they call it, and your numbers reset every 2 weeks. But for
I got 2.5 ounces. Come and take it.
But for recreational, you are now legally allowed. The recreational people are allowed to buy an ounce per day. Per day. Yeah, they're like, you buy whatever you want, basically. You buy an ounce every single day. But if you're a medical patient, you can only buy 2 ounces in 2 weeks. An ounce a week, basically. It's weird.
Jim, as you know, it made sense. It wouldn't be the government.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just about this analogy, bigger picture point real quick here. I would say the beginning of the end of the war on drugs was all the anti-drug efforts and victories leading up to the 2020 election. The 2020 election was the turning point where we came to the middle phase of the end of the war on drugs. And it's this phase now where cannabis is basically legal everywhere. At least it's safe to smoke, as in anybody has access. And yes, I understand there's still plenty of states. Like I have a warrant for my arrest for a misdemeanor cannabis possession in Wise County right now. That's an active warrant. If I get arrested or if I get pulled over in Wise County, Texas, I do at least an overnight, if not more. But even Texas, at some point, the federal law is going to change. And even in Texas, it's hard for a cop to harass an individual over, oh, I thought I smelled weed. Not so much a thing as it used to be, but there's still places like that. And this middle phase, we're going to see that come to an end. We're going to see by the end of this middle phase, a complete comfort, with cannabis nationally and I think globally along with that. And you're going to see in this middle phase the shift towards psychedelics being legal and acceptable. And then I would say the third phase, the end of the end, is going to be where you see people starting to realize the positive potential of conscientious drug use, and you're going to see reparations for stoners. I think you're going to see, maybe not that directly, but you're going to see some legal adjustments, and we are going to get to a point where we feel, the war on drugs is over. It's going to be within our lifetime. Very exciting.
Yeah, that would be cool. I like that. There's a lot of comments, and we're way over time, so I'm just going to hit you with this from 1054. Nice positive note. The beard is coming along nicely, Adam. Freedom Fuzz. The hair as well. I meant to tell you that the other day when I said
I'm almost at the point I can have like the little Jeffersonian, like cute little ponytail just in the back. And I don't know how big I want to get with the beard. I actually trimmed it back a lot. But thanks for noticing. Jim, we are over time. This is our comeback show. Let's do the audience right. If we're not going to take calls, let's do a few minutes of comments, whatever you think needs to be said here, and then do your promos, and I'll wrap up with a really quick good news.
Okay, all right. We did have a caller earlier. Actually, we had somebody backstage that was calling, but everything just went so long. I think they left. So now I don't even know where we're at.
A producers club member, right? Well, we will, as always, Fridays, we will preserve as a caller focused show.
Pot possession is still criminal in Georgia, says Stephen McClure. So that's unfortunate.
Yes. Thank you,
Yeah.
Stephen, for yeah. There are, like I said, there are states that within a few years, a few election cycles, I don't see that being sustainable. You're gonna see the contrast, right? You're gonna see states where it's illegal losing economically compared to states where it's legal.
Let's see. 420 Pat Rock says, I can imagine the First Amendment audits with border patrols and county cruisers. First Amendment audits having weed smoke and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know.
There's a great meme of with a cop at a car window, and he says, "Excuse me, sir, why do I smell cannabis, or why do I smell marijuana smoke?" And the driver says, "Because you're not social distancing."
Yeah, because you're not social distancing. I saw that. I saw that. That's funny. What happened to the NRA, says Bladen Niles.
Yeah, I don't think that's a story worth getting into too much. But if for those of you who are new to activism and gun and maybe gun rights, the NRA really is a bullshit organization. It really is a sort of subsidiary of the Republican Party, functionally. And if you just contrast it to the positions and stances of, say, gun owners of America, which I would prefer as an alternative. This isn't an endorsement. But I've interviewed the head of Gun Owners of America, GOA. Ron Paul has supported them. And I'm not surprised that the NRA racket of selling out gun owners it might be coming to an end or is being threatened as they go through this. The link will be in the notes. I don't think it's worth getting into more than that.
Fair enough. I like these two comments. Mark Jason Walker says, Biden sucks. That's a true statement. And they're each debating each other, but his Census 2000 says Trump is trash. Both beautiful statements that are completely and 100% accurate. So I think Liberty Warrior does not like the TikTok. We can talk about that for a quick moment, because Liberty Warrior says, at least with TikTok, you're in good company, like that intellectual Belle Delphine.
Yeah, someone got me on TikTok briefly, and I don't mind. I think when we get staffed and organized with Adam versus the Man, that we might be like, broadcasting content there. But personally, I don't think I want to especially invest in TikTok or be directly engaged. I do enjoy. I have been, and over the last couple of years, really engaging with the conversation on Twitter. I see pretty much all my @ mentions there, and I do hate a lot of the censorship positions that Twitter has taken. But I don't think they're not overcomable for Twitter, that Twitter might restore its place as that, but Gab and Parler having sort of challenged it, and that eventually we're going to switch to a crypto or a blockchain rather based version of Twitter. But you think about, what is that human conversation that exists on Twitter or on Facebook? It's extremely valuable and beautiful when you think about it like that, despite all of the corruption of its current form. So anyway, that's my little social media rant. Tomorrow, hopefully, if we get to it, like I said, we got a few big blocks, and the social media and censorship is what I'm really looking forward to getting back into.
Well, to his credit, not everyone thinks it's a bad idea. As Yvonne Taylor says, Cash is a genius, apparently. What a brilliant idea. She said that when he was talking about that. Like, I was sort of the same way. I haven't done enough on TikTok. I think the ones I watched, my honest critique about it, like the parts where it was words were real muffled, you know what I mean, and it was a little bit fast spoken. I couldn't make out all of what was being said. I totally get reaching a whole new demographic of people that are totally into that TikTok stuff. He's right there. There is something to be said. So if you feel compelled, I guess if TikTok feels like your thing, then yeah, give it a shot. I wouldn't say screw TikTok. It's not good for anybody. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know. because I don't know enough about it. I guess it seems weird to me, but if it can bring more people to a message of truth, then hey, at the end of the day.
Any other critical comments or wisdom from the audience?
I think that will be it for today.
Nope. And no good troll comments today. How disappointing. All right, Jim, hit us with the promos.
Okay. All right. Well, visit adamversustheman.com. Once you're there, you can click on our Patreon link, and that's going to get you the $1, $5, $10, or $50 options to help us out monthly and support us. The $10 a month is really the sweet spot. Gets you access to the Producers Club, our Telegram chat, where everything happens. We have a lot of fun. We even get personal in there sometimes. So it really is kind of a unique perspective on the show. After that, go right back to the adamversustheman.com down there and get your freedom boxers, your men's freedom
Someone
boxers.
just wants to put that butt on the screen.
Yeah, and we have tons of freedom merchandise in there. Awesome merch.
That's a picture of CJ modeling the boxers, right? That we're using for the item on the website.
No doubt. Okay.
And Mercedes.
I was gonna say, who did we get for the women's, but he hasn't modeled that one yet. So you can go there and see that for yourself and take screenshots if you want and have fun with that. To make memes out of it. Do what you do, internet. And after you do that, go back over to the cigar. Go back to the Cigar Federation.
Next time I post a goofy picture of myself like I did for the promo, I hope you guys appreciate the promo for this morning, which is the picture of me with my bandana, my mask as a pain brace while I'm getting my tattoo touch up in Hawaii. And next time I post something like that, I'm going to post it without any words and just say, "Do what you do, internet."
Do what you do, internet. That's funny. And then after that, you're going to visit the Cigar Federation. You're going to use promo code ADAM10, all caps, ADAM10. That's going to get 10% off of any of the products at Cigar Federation that you might be interested in. They got a ridiculous amount of flavors, so check them out. And then you can go to the Garden of Freedom Instagram page and check out all the cool photos that are being put up. I want to go there actually right now because I haven't recently. And
well, stay tuned for the very end of the show. I'm going to pick up the camera and walk into the snowstorm that I'm watching right now out the window.
Oh, do that right now. We're ready. We're done from us.
Now?
Do that.
All right, well, no, I'm going to do it to sign off. Anything else?
Oh, okay. No, that's it. Nope.
All right. Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you, producer CJ. Thank you, everybody in the Producers Club, for making this episode possible. From goodnewsnetwork.org, we're going to skip a lot of their good news in this day in history because a lot of it's not my flavor. But there are three beautiful points worth sharing. That it was on this day, January 25th, in 1890, pioneering journalist Nellie Bly completed a record-breaking trip around the world in 72 days to prove that Jules Verne's fictional journey around the world in 80 days could be achieved. She traveled the 24,899 miles, mostly alone, using steamships and trains, wearing only the dress on her back, a sturdy overcoat, and carrying a small travel bag with toiletries and underwear. Now, for anyone traveling alone, a woman traveling alone, especially in that era, to complete this was a truly historic human achievement and application of technology and social organization in a way that it shows not just what one person can achieve, but in a world united, how much, because of working together, we are able to achieve so much more as individuals. I hope that doesn't, I know I confused that sentence a little bit there. I hope it doesn't sound like stoner ramblings. Cool story to know. And I hope you take some inspiration from that to say, yeah, look at what's possible. And I think we need more positive reminders of stories like this in this age of COVID, when the virus which shall not be named, where all right. So while we have this dark cloud hanging over the world, that we not let the fear of our fellow human beings and the divisions and the limitations imposed on us stop us from living free, beautiful, vibrant lives. And the story of Nellie Bly is just one more wonderful human achievement worth noting as having occurred on this day in history in 1890. Also, to recent history, we go to this day in 1998, when Pope John Paul II demanded the release of political prisoners during a historic visit to Cuba. And on this day in 2011, even more recently, Egypt's revolution began as thousands of anti-government protesters, inspired by the Tunisian uprising, clashed with police and demanded the end of President Hosni Mubarak's rule. And as I recall, as the Arab Spring took form and perhaps came into the downward curve of its trajectory, there was a great call for an American Spring to follow the Arab Spring. And various protests were inspired, but we have yet to fully live up to the example that Egypt set for America in terms of modern revolutions less than a decade ago. And now we go to conclude today's show by walking outside here in Gardenia. You're going to get a glimpse of our unfinished studio space, but it is just too freakishly beautiful a scene here for me to not share this. Look at this. Oh my gosh, it is a winter wonderland here in Gardenia. The snow is coming down, and you know, it's not that cold. I like it here. I love it when it's like this. I hope whatever I'm capturing here, I can't see my screen at all with the brightness and the reflection, but I hope you're seeing this. We have kittens, oh wait, my puppy is outside. She wanted to be let out to play, and we have one of our kittens almost fully grown here hanging out in my wheel well. They stay under the Freedom Factory building here sometimes. And with that, peace and love, y'all. Choose happiness and be excellent to each other.